watching a live Channels television event.
Thank you. As we take our seats.
So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have about 12 versions of Hamzat's story on the internet, but we have carefully picked one, and that one we have reduced into a documentary, and that story will be told now.
Technical people there.
Successfully led grassroots campaigns in over 40 African countries and garnered over 15 years. Hamzat Lawal, Hamzi, is an award-winning advocate, social justice campaigner, activist, and humanitarian who has successfully led grassroots campaigns in over 40 African countries and garnered over 15 years practical experience in the non-profit sector. He specializes in practical issues associated with climate change, open data, advocacy campaigns, and development policy as it affects rural and deprived grassroots communities. Hamzi is also the founder of Follow the Money, a homegrown Pan-African grassroots data-driven initiative, present in 10 African countries, recognized as one of the fastest growing movements which empowers and engages citizens to utilize technology in creating campaigns which amplify voices of people living in marginalized communities to foster accountability as it affects utilization of public funds in several countries across Africa.
He is currently the Chief Executive of Connected Development Code, an organization he founded in 2012. It was birthed out of his drive to save the grassroots community in Zamfara State. #SaveBagega, where over 700 children died of lead poisoning. Under his leadership, Code has won the One Africa 2016 award, an initiative dedicated to helping the continent achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, otherwise known as the SDGs. Hamzi sits on the executive board of the largest youth movement in Africa, Africa Youth Initiative on Climate Change, AYICC, advising on communication strategies and campaigns using technology tools in shaping and actualizing the Sustainable Development Goals, and has joined his voice on different platforms and policy influencing coalitions across Africa, such as the Not Too Young to Run movement, which drives youth political inclusion. Before his role at Code, he was an executive with the International Center for Energy, Environment and Development, ICEED, working on high-level advocacy for Nigeria's energy needs and climate actions. Hamzat was honored and recognized on the 2018 and 2019 list of the world's 100 most influential people in digital government by Apolitical. He was also recognized amongst the 100 most influential people in 2019, joining Amina J. Mohammed, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and Aliko Dangote. Hamzat's Social Accountability Initiative, Follow the Money, won United Nations SDG Action Award as Mobilizer in 2019 in Bonn, Germany. The Council of Europe Democracy Innovation 2019 Award in Strasbourg, France, and he won the 2019 Future Africa Award under the Advocacy category. He currently serves on two prominent international boards. The first, he's an advisory board member of Beyonce Global Citizen Fellowship, and the second, he's an honorary IFAIR ambassador, an initiative of the State of Israel and the Office of the Vice President of Nigeria. He was recently recognized by Oxfam Novib as one of the many heroes fighting for equality worldwide, a fair distribution of power and wealth.
Indeed, that is the man, Hamzat B. Lawal. Please, a round of applause for him. We celebrate you, Hamzi. And we say a very happy birthday. Some people were asking, if today is actually the day he was born, 35 years ago. And indeed, it is today. And we're so honored and so glad to be part of this celebration. We move on with the program very, very swiftly now. And as we move, I'd like to say hi to Bukumi. Bukumi is by my side to ensure that our hearing impaired brothers and sisters are not left behind. And it speaks to the type of person Hamzi is. He's all about inclusion and indeed carrying everyone along, leaving no one behind. That's what we are. So Bukumi is by my side. Please say hi to her and give her a round of applause. Thank you. All right. So we move on right now to have the opening statement. And this is coming from someone who is so special and so dear to Hamzi. And she has attained so much in her lifetime. She is the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, and she's the chair of the United Nations Sustainable Development Group. She is going to give us the opening statement for this event. Over to you, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to greet everyone and to wish Hamzat Lawal a really happy birthday. Hamzat, your grassroots activism, idealism, and entrepreneurial spirit are an inspiration. As a champion for the Sustainable Development Goals and good governance, you are a role model for your generation. Thank you so much for your hard work with Connected Development, Follow the Money, and your many other projects to build a better Nigeria and leave no one behind. I know your journey is only just beginning, and I'm sure you will continue to surprise and impress us for a long time to come. And there is so much work still to do. From COVID to conflicts, we face many serious challenges. But here is why I'm hopeful for the future. I already see your generation taking leadership in complex environments across the globe, whether on climate change, human rights, political participation, or gender equality. Young people like yourself are challenging the status quo and driving change in Nigeria and across the world. You are making a difference, Hamzat. The United Nations is proud to be your partner. Together, let us build a world where everyone can live in dignity, prosperity, and peace on a safe and a healthy planet. Happy birthday.
Very apt opening statement, if you ask me. And we're grateful to you, Ms. Mohammed, for the kind words for Hamzat and indeed the push and the challenge to do more. Knowing Hamzat, we believe he's well able to carry on that challenge. Now, may I respectfully invite Obiageli Okafor, who is the chair of the organizing committee of Hamzi at 35, to give us her opening remarks. Obi, please let's welcome her. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say a very big thank you to each and every one of you that have cleared out their busy schedules just to be here for Hamzi. Those joining us virtually through Zoom and the watch parties, viewing centers, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for creating this time to celebrate a man worth celebrating. As we all know, today is the 35th birthday of Hamzat Lawal, a man of substance, a campaigner, an activist, a global citizen, and a mobilizer. This symposium is his way of reminding young people that you have the ability to push and break boundaries, and your age, gender, and tribe should never hold you back. I would also like to use this opportunity to sincerely appreciate every member of the Hamzi at 35 community and the entire staff of Code for bringing this event together. The success of this event is all because of your hard work and your dedication. Finally, I assure you that this symposium is packed with speakers that will bring productive conversations and discussions over the course of this event. Network, enjoy the series of activities that are coming on stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Obi. That was really great and very warm opening remarks there. We move on right now to celebrate the man Hamzi at 35 as we receive some goodwill messages from those who have sent in from far away and those who are here with us in the hall. We'll now have the first goodwill message from Jamie Drummond, who is the co-founder of One Campaign. Jamie? So, while we're getting set with Jamie's message, there we go.
Everyone gathered at the Yaradwa Center for, what's it called? Hashtag Hamzi35. I hope you don't mind my wearing my Hamzi hat. It isn't cultural appropriation. Happy birthday, but it's a bigger celebration than just your birthday. I'm sure it's a celebration of your work and the incredible network and family of campaigners and activists you have gathered over the years and on this day, all committed to the SDGs and to climate action. I first met you, when was it? I think it was through Her Excellency Amina Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General, when she was the Minister for Environment in Niger. And she said, look out for this young man and look out for Follow the Money. They're doing incredible work and they're giving me a hard time. They're holding me accountable and they're holding the Nigerian government accountable for action on the environment and for the SDGs. And that was quite powerful and interesting for me to hear from her about you, about all of you. So thank you for your work and keep going. The world needs you, Nigeria needs you, Africa needs you to keep going. It is incredible work that you're doing today, but you've also got to keep yourself going tomorrow and for the day after and the day after. As everyone knows from reading the news, in every community and country and continent, the challenges are growing. And we need to be more unified and together and more one than we have ever been. We need to be better organized. And I can think of no better person nor better organization to organize us than Connected Development, than Follow the Money, and you, Hamzi, working with great partners that you have, like In Budget, and so many other organizations across the country and across the continent. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your voice. And don't stop holding government accountable in every community. Keep going, keep going. It's wonderful work. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. We appreciate this. And indeed, knowing Hamzi, he'll keep going. Maybe that will be a new hashtag for him, who knows. Right. We'll now like to invite Mr. Moses Siasia, founder and chairman, Nigeria Young Professionals Forum, to give us his goodwill message. Please give a warm round of applause for Mr. Moses Siasia.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ekiti State, the celebrant, my very good friend and brother, Hamzat Lawal. I can see the national youth leader of the ruling party, my very good friend. I can also see some of the top players in the civil society space. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I crave your indulgence to stand on every existing protocols. We are here to celebrate a man of too many parts, a young man that is a motivation to a lot of us, a man that you can call as an example to Nigerian youth or African youth. My brother, my friend, Hamzat Lawal. I want to say this. I've known Hamzi for close to a decade now, and I don't have any regrets whatsoever to question his integrity, credibility, and what he's doing to create enormous impact in the Nigerian space and by extension Africa. He's a true example of what the Nigerian youth should be. I am very elated to be here to celebrate this great son of our great country, Nigeria. It is my earnest desire and prayer that the Almighty God will continue to perfect that which concerns you. On behalf of myself and the Nigerian Young Professionals Forum, we want to wish you well on this your 35th birthday, and we want to say that whatever you have achieved so far is a stepping stone to a greater height and more yet to come. Hamzat Lawal is from the northern part of Nigeria. I'm also from the southern part of Nigeria, from Bayelsa State. And I cannot say that I have any friend whatsoever in this country that is close to me like Hamzat Lawal. Hamzat Lawal is a Muslim. I'm a Christian. And as a country, we need to realize that what brings us together is greater than what tears us apart. Blood has no faith. We go to the same market, we go to the same hospitals, we share the same faith, we share the same ideology. So those who are using religion and ethnicity to divide us are those who are very short-sighted about the expectations of our collective growth as a nation. Hamzat Lawal have actually stood out from so many young people I've met in my journey to transform the social economic ideology of young people across the globe. We have traveled to so many countries together. We have done so many things together. But I would say today, Hamzat at 35, that I'm indeed proud of you. I'm very proud to be associated with you. I'm very proud that you are an executive trustee of the Nigerian Young Professionals Forum. And I want to assure you that Nigeria needs people like you. We inaugurated the Green Nigeria movement in Kano day before yesterday. And Hamzat was actually there with us from beginning to end. And I want to assure you that our loyalty, our support, our friendship will continue to sustain. And we will take Nigeria to the heights that it deserves. Together, we will make Nigeria great. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's give him another round of applause. Moses Siasa is one movement. Alone is taking Nigerian young people to greater places. Let me especially appreciate and welcome our keynote speaker for today, who is the Executive Governor of Ekiti State and the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, His Excellency Kayode Fayemi. You're welcome, sir. Thank you very much. Next, I want to bring another person young for a goodwill message, but I was asking questions. What would you be doing at 35? Trevor Milton, before he was 40, founded Nicola. Evan Spiegel of Snap CEO was $11 billion rich before he was 35. Bobby Murphy, Snap co-founder, had 4.7 billion in his coffers at 32. And Dustin was $36 billion rich as a co-founder for Facebook at 36. Scott Duncan of Pipelines, though inherited, he had about $4.8 billion in his account at 37. Itodo Peterside was CEO of IBTC at 33, is also one of our key speakers for today. There are two people in this hall that I will mention. One of them is Hamzat at 35. I know he has influence. I'm not able to tell you how much is in his bank account. But I also want to specially welcome another young man, co-convener of the Not Too Young to Run, the Executive Director of Yaga Africa, doing a great thing working with Hamzi. Samson Itodo will speak to us next. Please put your hands together for him. Can we clap for him, please?
Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, greatest Nigerian youths. No, come on, we can't do that for Hamzi. Greatest Nigerian youths. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to celebrate my brother and friend, Hamzi. Hamzi's story tells us three things. That one, in the business of change, your background does not matter. Whether you come from an affluent background or you come from a humble background, all you need is the courage and the resilience and the determination to say, I'm going to stand for something. And that's what Hamza's story tells us. The second is, beyond your background, the second, lesson and story that Hamza tells us is that change is about people. It's about people. And Hamza exemplifies the fact that he puts people at the center of his advocacy. And that's reflected in the people who are here representing all walks of life. And I really want to celebrate you for the stellar work that you've done over the last couple of years. If you look at the program, you see Hamza when he was small. He was looking malnourished in some of the pictures. But if you see Hamza today, you see he's looking prosperous. And I think we should celebrate, this hard work, because you didn't get here by sheer coincidence. It's by hard work, it's by courage and resilience. And for us as a generation, we celebrate you. And we appreciate you for the work that you do as an individual. I'll just leave, by just highlighting something critical that Hamza represents. I know we've had conversations at several retreats, and we talk about the next generation. We're glad to have His Excellency here, who some of the first leaders that provided the foundation for a thriving civil society in Nigeria today. But the big question is, who is the next Hamza? And where are the other Hamzas, both male and female? And I think that intra-generation and intergenerational engagement is very critical. So we need to invest in creating more Hamzas, because one Hamza is not enough to fix the challenges that confront us as a people. And I know you're determined to do that. And please, I want to invite you to continue to support him and support Code and support every change maker who is doing great work. Because Nigeria needs you. And there's no way this country will transform if we don't have the likes of Hamza. On behalf of myself, my family, the entire Yaiga family, the entire Not Too Young to Run family across the world, we celebrate you. At this point, they've asked me to take a bow before you. So let me take that bow.
Thank you so much, Samson Itodo, for taking that bow and celebrating the man, Hamza, at 35. Would like to recognize, we have two keynote speakers, and Ben has recognized one. Would like to recognize Mr. Itodo Peterside, CON, who is the founder of Stanbic IBTC Bank PLC and the president, founder of ANAP Foundation. And as Ben mentioned, he was the pioneer, chief executive officer of Stanbic IBTC Bank at age 33. We celebrate you, sir, and we acknowledge that you're joining us via Zoom. He is online. Please, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Moving on very swiftly, may I now invite two children from a school Hamzi actually contributes to and supports. They are the Knox 100 Naira a Day Secondary Charity School. And Favor and Farida will be speaking on behalf of the school with their Goodwill message. Favor and Farida, please join me here and let's have your message. Let's give them a round of applause as they make their way here.
Good day, everyone. My name is Salva Bakari Faridat. I'm a student at the Knox 100 Naira a Day Charity School. Getting an admission into secondary school is not easy for me because my mom was a widow with 5 children whose only source of income is grinding. That is when the Knox 100 Naira a Day came as a miracle to me, which for just 100 Naira a day, I get free books, free uniform, free lunch per day, free sanitary pads, most importantly, action learning education that enable me to break out of poverty and become an engineer in future. Thank you, Mr. Hamzat Lawal, for these positive examples of youth and impact. I also like to become a great and important person like you in future at my 35th birthday. Thank you.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sobalanis Favor. I'm a student at the Knox 100 Naira a Day Charity Secondary School. Being a cleaner, it was very difficult for my mom to pay my school fees in primary school. Sometimes I stay away for weeks, sometimes a term in a school year. Due to this, my dream of being an aeronautic engineer was a doubt for me. Until Knox happened. At the Knox, with just 100 Naira, I get free lunch, free uniform, free sanitary pad, free sportswear, and moreover, the action learning and computer STEM education that will enable me to be an engineer when I grow up. Thank you, Mr. Hamzat Lawal, for being a positive example of youth and impact. I would also like to be an important and great person like you before my 35th birthday.
All right, one more time, thanks, Big Bro, for this great opportunity. I'm here with the team. My name is Kingsley Bangwell. Let me just say I'm a serial school dropout. I dropped out in primary school for several years, eventually finished at 8th year. Dropped out secondary school, finished after 9 years. And same thing with university, single factor poverty. But today I'm a young global leader of the World Economic Forum, an Ashoka Fellow, been to Harvard, Yale, and different places in over 35 countries of the world. Speaking at youth events. The question is, if I didn't learn how to read and write, can you imagine the future I would have missed? And that's why my wife and I, in 2019, started the 100 Naira a Day school. And the target is those children who can't go to school, whose future is dimmed. We want to provide them an education. And we've started in Kuje. We have 82 children. 60% girls. Permit us to do that, right? Yeah, because 55% of girls drop out of school and 43% of boys drop out of school. So that's what we're doing, and we're grateful for this opportunity to share our story. And what we do, 100 Naira doesn't keep them in school, of course. So we depend on compassionate people to support us to keep the children in school. So if you feel strongly about what we're doing, just Google 100 Naira a Day school. Just check out 100 Naira a Day school. You see it on social media, on all the different platforms. But we're also out there at the lobby. We're happy to answer your questions and have you join us and become one of our, we call it 2K a month partner. People give just 2,000 a month to help us keep children in school. And like the kids are saying, when I grow up, by my 35th birthday, I want to be as popular as Hamzat Lawal. One more time, congratulations. Thank you all.
Happy birthday, Mr. Hamzat Lawal. Long life and prosperity. Thank you, sir.
I think these children deserve a proper applause. To have children at this age able to speak English very well is a hope for this country. At some time, I had met two children fighting, and I told the boy, I said, what happened? The grammar was bad. But it was the girl that baffled me. I said, what happened? He said, this guy bite me on my mind. I said, there's a problem. I taught maths, everything in primary school. And one of the days I just told them, just do art. Draw anything that comes to your mind and just do it by yourself. I noticed one boy was not drawing anything. So I asked him, I said, why? I told you to draw something on your paper. He said, sir, I drew a goat. I was eating grass. I said, but your paper is still blank. He said, yes, sir, the goat has finished eating the grass and it has gone. I want to bring up someone for a Goodwill message. No longer a child, but has worked hard for this country, many years serving as country director for Open Society Initiative for West Africa. Currently, he is the principal partner for Thoughts and Mace Advisory. Let's welcome Mr. Jude Ilo for his Goodwill message. Please put your hands together for him.
Your Excellency, I don't ever get into this protocol because I always get it wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, and my brother Hamzi, good morning. I'm excited to be here. They say success has many friends. I would assume that if Hamzi has not been doing some good work, this place will not be filled up. I wouldn't come. But you can see what is happening. That in spite of where we come from, in spite of the God we worship, in spite of the name we bear, when we represent something truly remarkable, when we represent something truly positive, we draw people to ourselves. And at 35 years, my brother, you have done exceptionally well. I'm glad for your service. I'm glad for your courage. I'm glad for the audacity of your vision, for what you've been able to say, for what you've been able to do. And I am very positive that you're just getting warmed up. I am excited. I am excited that we're celebrating you. I am excited that you've given us a good example that all Nigerian youths, the story that the youths of this country are not serious-minded. You have single-handedly destroyed that narrative. The story that Nigerian youths are not focused, you've destroyed the narrative. The story that Nigerian youths are poisonous, we don't like each other. This room destroys that narrative. And I wish that your life, that you will consistently continue to destroy all of these negative narratives. I thank you for your service, and I'm glad to call you my friend. Thank you.
Oga Jude. Please, another round of applause for him. Thank you so much, Mr. Jude Ilo. Appreciate you. And thank you for the kind words. We still have a few more Goodwill messages as Yemisi takes over to be by our side this morning. A few more Goodwill messages, and we're going to play them one after the other. The first is by Mohammed Sani Atijo, who is the Commissioner, Budget and Planning in Kaduna State. We also have a message from Marina Ponte. Marina is the Director, UN SDG Action Campaign. And finally, a very heartwarming video of some children who are far away in London. Are we ready? Let's go.
As any public official who's interested in governance, one of the best partners that you can have is a partner that helps you track your money. That's exactly what Hamza was for Kaduna State. With his support, our government and Code helped to track over 2 billion naira of investments in health, education, and water. These are the critical sectors that actually go to affecting the lives of the poor. Hamza and Code have been important partners in developing our strategic plan for education and also in discussing the movements that could be made in the inequality space. We appreciated working with his network of young people who have truly demonstrated the concern and the passion that comes with involving young people, either directly in governance or as active partners in the civil society space. We really, truly appreciate the partnership, and we appreciate the major driver behind it. So as you celebrate your 35th birthday today, Hamza, I'd like you to know that from all of us in Kaduna State, we appreciate you, we cherish you, and we wish you a happy 35th birthday. Thank you.
Dear friend Hamzat, it is such an honor to join this important anniversary. It seems so long ago, but it was only 2019 when we met in Bonn at the SDG Global Festival of Action, where you received the SDG Action Award for your inspiring and effective initiative, Follow the Money. That was before COVID hit us all and turned our lives upside down. Frustration and division have erupted within and across our societies. Now it is time to react, reset, restart. All models have not delivered. We need new ones. We need to flip the script because the world is not working for most people and our planet. We are following the wrong script. That's why we're calling with our partner on people to flip the script and tell a new story that shapes a new reality. One where the climate crisis won't end humanity, because humanity will end the climate crisis, and where the idea that girls can change the world vanishes for good, because we know the world cannot change without girls. We can flip the script on our economies so that we don't have to rely on poorly paid labor and polluting fossil fuels. We can flip the script on governance, something very close to your heart, Hamzat. So it's about delivering services and stability instead of sowing division. We can flip the script on our lives. So we, particularly in the North, consume what we need and no more. Flip the script is about knowing that the impossible is possible if we act together. It means taking back our world because it belongs to all people, not just a few. It's a story that we can be proud to call our own because it is sustainable and socially just and takes us to the SDGs. So, Hamaz, at this important milestone in your life, we hope to count on your leadership and on your passion to help us mobilize people in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond to flip the script and make 2022 the year in which, together, we set the world on course to justice and sustainability. So happy birthday, and looking forward to continuing this journey together. Best.
Happy birthday, Uncle Hamzy. We love you. God bless you. Marvel. I'm Sarah. I'm Ethan. And we are the Fresh and Fun Kids.
Happy birthday, Uncle. God bless you now and always.
God bless you. This is for you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Uncle.
My dad told me all the good work you've been doing, especially for the kids in Nigeria. Keep it up. Happy birthday.
This song is for you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
Please, another round of applause for them. We wanted to bring them here physically to entertain you, but we figured it would be cheaper to get them perform. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're moving to a very important part of our program, and this time we're focusing on our keynote speech. I'm inviting one who has been severally minister, who's also worked hard in the civil society space. His research paper was on the policy and governance sector, civil-military relations, regionalism in the global context, among others. He has also taught in various capacities. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a video will play to tell you who he is, but let me welcome him on stage at this time. His Excellency, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, CON, Executive Governor of Ekiti State and Chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum. Please put your hands together for him.
His Excellency Dr. Kayode Fayemi is the Governor of Ekiti State and Chairman Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF. His administration is a model subnational government in Africa on account of the progressive programs and policies that have resulted in improved human development indices in all thematic areas. He was the Minister of Mines and Steel Development in the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria between 2015 and 2018. He led the administration's efforts in repositioning the Nigerian mining sector to contribute optimally to the priority agendas of diversifying the country's revenue base and creating jobs and economic opportunities for Nigerians. During his tenure as minister, he concurrently served as chairman of the governing board of the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NITI. Dr. Fayemi holds degrees in History and International Relations from the University of Lagos and Obafemi Awolowo University, respectively, a doctorate in War Studies from King's College, University of London, and is a fellow of the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, University of Ibadan. His research and policy development interests include natural resource governance, democratization, constitutionalism, security sector governance, civil-military relations, and regionalism in the global context. Amongst other academic and public policy engagements at home and abroad, Dr. Fayemi has lectured in Africa, Europe, the Americas, and Asia. He has also served as advisor on transitional justice, regional integration, constitutionalism, security sector reforms, and civil-military relations to various governments, multilateral institutions, and development agencies. Dr. Fayemi was the founding director of the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, a research and training institute dedicated to the study and promotion of democratization, peace building, and human security in Africa. As a central figure in the coalition of civil society actors that resisted oppressive military rule in Nigeria in the early 1990s, he was central to the founding and running of the opposition radio stations while in exile. His role in the struggle to restore democratic governance in Nigeria is documented in his book, Out of the Shadows, Exile and the Struggle for Freedom and Democracy in Nigeria, CDD, 2005. His other publications include Mercenaries, The African Security Dilemma, co-edited by Abdel Fattah Musa, Pluto Press, 2000, Deepening the Culture of Constitutionalism, The Role of Regional Institutions in Constitutional Development in Africa, CDD 2003, and Sector and Security Sector Governance in Africa, a handbook, co-edited by Nico Ball, CDD 2004, Reclaiming the Trust, Amandla 2012, Regaining the Legacy, Amandla 2013, and Legacy of Honor and Service, Amandla 2014. Dr. Fayemi is a prominent member of the governing All Progressives Congress, APC, and chaired the party's National Convention Planning Committee that produced the presidential candidate for the 2015 general election, and now president. He also served as the Director, Policy Research and Strategy of the APC Presidential Campaign Group. He is married to Eulogise Fayemi, the renowned women's and children's rights advocate, international development specialist, writer, and social entrepreneur. He has received several awards and recognitions at home and abroad. and holds the national honor of Commander of the Order of the Niger, COM.
Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome our keynote speaker for today.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an immense pleasure for me to be here as we celebrate Hamzat's 35th birthday. Hamzat is one of the most passionate, cerebral, and influential young people in our country today. And he has been phenomenal in his dedication to duty and has contributed immensely to the advancement of humanity. And we've already heard many commentaries as to how he's been able to do that. Hamzat has been a big inspiration to many young people, while his passion and activism have continued to attract deserving applauses from far and near. One is therefore very proud of what he has achieved as a young man, and at the same time very optimistic about what the future portends for him. I pay tribute to his character and integrity, which are the defining values that stand him out as a leading light in public advocacy and activism. Even though I came to know Hamzat in the line of duty when I was Minister of Mines and Steel Development, following the unfortunate lead poisoning incident in Kagera, Niger State. I walked into my office alongside colleagues from Medicine Sans Frontières. I believe it was Dr. Simba Makoni. I can't quite remember now his name. And he was there not for the usual obsequious attention to people in authority. He was there to actually question authority. He was there to hold me accountable and to ask what we were doing about the lead poisoning incident. And he challenged me on that day. Got me to Kagera to see the plight of the kids. And between the work that he and his colleagues from Medicine Sans Frontières did, he managed to convince myself and the Honorable Minister of Environment, you just heard speaking earlier, Ms. Amina Mohamed, to raise funds and ensure that the federal government of Nigeria put as much as about $6.5 million into addressing the plight of the kids in Kagera at the time. But Hamzat had actually started that work before I even became a minister, when the same problem emanated in Zamfara State in 2012. And I'd insisted on ensuring that the concerns of the mining communities brought to the attention of those in authority. Many of us here would recall that famous quote from Frantz Fanon, which says that each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it. In many instances, as many of you may already be aware, even though my involvement in student movement in the university was more known, like Hamzat, I also started demonstrating my interest in public affairs right from primary school. I was a Cub Boy Scout like him. By the time I entered secondary school in Ado Ekiti, my nickname quickly became Current Affairs due to my prodigious interest in national and global affairs. In no time, I became a constant feature in the school quiz and debating competitions. By the time I moved to Federal School of Arts and Science in Ondo for my higher school certificate at the time, I was deeply involved in journalistic activism on campus as the secretary of the school's press club. So when I got to the University of Lagos, I found a conducive habitat to pursue my passion. Started out by joining a campus journal and later became its production editor and eventually its editor-in-chief. Of course, I landed in several troubles on account of the acerbic content of the magazine, which the university authority found extremely offensive and unbecoming, but I remain undeterred even with many threats of rustication. While campus journalism provided us with the required space for expression and a power to promote our ideological bias, as at then, it did not give us the required political power of representation, where one could practically cause change from the front row. So I started out my practical involvement in politics, in campus politics. Stood for election. I was elected as chair of my hall at Unilag, Eninjoku Hall. The election automatically qualified me to represent the hall in the campus-wide Senate of the Students' Union. And in addition to these, I was the Secretary General of ANONSA and USEN. Younger ones there may not know what USEN really was. USEN was the Youth in Solidarity for Southern Africa. This was the days of anti-apartheid movement. And we had all over the campuses in Nigerian universities a vehicle for advocating the rights of the oppressed majority in Southern Africa. All these channels provided me with the opportunity to hone my skills in leadership, activism, public life, and in strategic communication. Very few people who knew me as a youngster will be surprised at my career path as an adult. As a university student who had been involved in political movements, including being a volunteer at the headquarters of African National Congress and the Southwest African People's Organization, SWAPO, I developed a deep resentment against military misrule of the day, and I joined several anti-military campaigns, especially as the transition program had become interminable and an outright deception. What, however, became a turning point for many in my generation and in my political consciousness was the fallout of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, especially the annulment of that election and the incarceration of the winner and many others for their agitation for the actualization of the mandate. By this time, I was actually living outside the country and I just finished my doctoral studies working in the UK. So some of us young Nigerians in the diaspora came together to form the new Nigerian movement and to give us a media voice. We started a publication, The Nigerian Now. At home in Nigeria, the military government of General Sani Abacha had become totally intolerant of those asking for the revalidation of the June 12th election, and thus began a severe clampdown on human rights. Many of the leading lights in that struggle escaped to exile, while many who weren't lucky got killed or maimed. This inspired a genuine desire to lead a resistance movement. So many of us, young compatriots living outside the country, started organizing protests to draw the attention of the world leaders to the plight of Nigerians back home. We also collaborated with many of the leading institutions and personalities in the democracy and human rights movement inside the country. Some of them eventually joined us in exile. And working with the likes of the late Chief Anthony Enaro and Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, I became the pointsman for the establishment of the underground radio, Radio Kudirat. which provided a voice for Nigerians at a time that many journalistic outlets had been forced underground and brutally muted. We traveled almost everywhere in the world in search of diplomatic support for the fight against military misrule. We confronted several challenges, including assassination attempts on our lives, but we remain unfazed. In the end, civilian rule came in 1999 as a result of the collective will and demonstration of courage of many Nigerians as we continue in our quest to deepen the democratization project. Even at that, when the democratic order returned to Nigeria, and many of the dramatic personnel of the anti-military struggle offered to participate in the transition program as active politicians, some of us, who were mainly of the civil society background, thought it was unnecessary for us to seek to occupy political offices. Rather, we decided to serve as gatekeepers and enablers of the democratization process. This is because from the experiences of other climes, democratic governance and culture is not just a switch from military administration to civilian government. You also needed vibrant watchmen and women, observers and monitors on the sidelines to guide the process. Prior to the 1999 election, some of us in the democracy movement, with a background in academia, had come together to establish the Center for Democracy and Development. Many of you know the Center for Democracy and Development, but you may not know its provenance. We started it in 1997 to serve as an independent, non-partisan bridge between ideas and action in the fledgling democracy, and I served as the founding executive director. CDD focused on training, on research, and on public policy advocacy of issues around democratic governance, democratic practice and good governance in Nigeria and the sub-region. And it very quickly became one of the leading think tanks on the continent on issues of democratization, constitutionalism, civil-military relations, and human rights. My personal odyssey that led me from activism to partisan politics informs my sense of how democracy as a journey and a struggle. I returned from exile in 1999, deciding that a new phase of activism required more direct engagement at home with the new dispensation. And CDD's work focused on building those bridges of understanding between the government and civil society that would enable the national leadership benefit from the talents and ideas of citizens within the country. And very quickly, it became the hub for issues around human rights and constitutionalism. It became the secretariat for the Citizens Forum for Constitutional Reform. And we also became the main technical advisors for what was popularly known as the Oputa panel then, the Human Rights Violation Investigations Commission set up by the Obasanjo administration. But that changed in 2006 when I decided to move from fighting against to fighting for. I've gone to this extent to tell this story because I know many of us here may not be aware of it. And that may be the very reason why Hamzat insisted that that's what he would like me to talk about. My story tells you first how closely similar the trajectory of Hamzat and I is. He started his leadership development from primary school as a Boy Scout leader and continued in secondary school where he served as a prefect. At the University of Abuja, he led a group of activists that demanded better services from the authorities. Even though he had a wonderful career working in an ICT firm, he chose to follow his passion for public advocacy. The second reason for sharing my story is for us to know that leaders are made from the crucible of experience of passion, of courage, and the readiness to sacrifice. The saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained, is very apt here. Our celebrant appeared to have taken strongly to these lessons if we trace his history very well, from who he was and the focused, dedicated, and inspirational young man he has become. He's the founder of Follow the Money, a civic tech advocacy platform that has helped in tracking government expenditure and service delivery. He was a key leader of the Not Too Young to Run campaign. We just saw some Itodo speak to us about that. That led to a constitutional amendment that lowered the age one could enter into political contest as a candidate. He has become a major voice in the Sustainable Development Goals Action Movement for young people and an emerging leader of influence. And I have no doubt that destiny awaits Hamzat to accomplish greater exploits and services to our great nation. But before I end my address, let me avert your attention to the fact that there are basic things to take away from my story and that of Hamzat. And they are that for one to succeed, one needs to imbibe certain virtues in life. One of the most important things which the younger generation often takes for granted, but which will determine how far the individual can go in life, is the set of values that define your life. You must value knowledge, without which you cannot develop the right intellect, experience, and skill set that will help to prepare you for a functional future. Those who deprecate knowledge, na book we go chop mentality, can only promote a quest for prosperity without productivity, and this would only bring you to grief. Beyond the need for knowledge for the purpose of a vocation, the best form of education is the one that opens up the human mind. We need to pursue knowledge that can truly liberate us from our fears, from our biases, and our limitations. This is the kind of education that has helped Hamzat. He has liberated himself from the bondage of ethnicity and sectarian affinity to become a global citizen that sees humanity as a common brotherhood. We also need to develop skills that prepare us for selfless leadership through volunteerism, community engagement, and mobilization for collective causes. Hamzat has spoken, even in the short bio in the program, about his volunteering in the International Center for Environment, where he worked. And he's pointed out the importance of mobilization for collective causes as well. Young people should value such things as competence, character, generosity of spirit, a sense of giving than receiving, being solution providers than complainants, perseverance, and delayed gratification. For you to succeed, you certainly need a huge dose of these virtues: passion and action. Like all public-spirited persons, Hamzat is a very passionate young man. It is evident that he is self-motivated, confident and courageous to follow his passion. He was much younger than 35 when he walked up to my office to take me to task about lead poisoning. And I was looking at him, and all I could see in him that morning was that I used to be like this young man. He's also a risk taker, because you need a lot of appetite for risk taking to be passionate to the point of taking action on public issues for which you may not be appreciated even by those who may be the major beneficiaries of your action. Equally, without discipline, knowledge is useless. In the world today, with the advancement in civil liberties, democratization, and freedom of speech, we operate in a freer world with increasingly fewer constraints placed on individual conduct. Now, anyone can do anything at any time. The impetus is therefore on discerning individuals to self-regulate and be disciplined enough to do what is right and at the right time if they want to be successful. You have to have personal discipline to be able to go far in life. There are many distractions today to blow your vision, no matter how lofty it is. I'm sure Hamzat has gone this far as a young man because he has the staying power and focus without which he could not have been this relevant in his journey through life. As I conclude my address, I call on all of you to love this country and imagine it as a major world power in no distant time. Nation building is an unfinished business, but for every generation, there is always a pressing business of the day that must be done urgently. These challenges that ail our country today provide us with the opportunity to take a position and take a stand and work for the resolution of such challenges. Nigeria will belong to those who are prepared to stand up, stand firm, and take control of their destinies. As the late Senator Robert Kennedy once said, it is from numberless diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Like Hamzat has elected to do, we can all do our bit in our little ways to cause a beautiful change that will lead us to make our country and indeed the world a better place. We all just need to build a consensus around major issues of concerns and develop a national template for some irreducible behavior in leadership positions. I am personally uncomfortable with the practice of our politics and our political conversation. We should have outgrown bigotry, tribalism, and hetero-religious biases. It is time to rekindle the candle of a new Nigeria, and the coming transition provides another opportunity for us to take a new dive at making a new Nigeria of our dream. That is what Hamzat represents to many of us. He is a beacon of hope. He is a testimony to competence. He is an evidence of character. And I believe for Hamzat, it's yet to morning day. For Hamzat, this is wishing you a blissful 35th birthday. May you always be a pride and an inspiration to your generation and to generations yet unborn. And even to those of us who are gray-haired and older than you, may you know the difference between fighting against and fighting for, and when to switch from one to the other. Happy birthday, and many happy returns.
Please, another round of applause for His Excellency, the Governor of Ekiti State. Thank you so much for that keynote address. We also have another keynote speaker who is online. I'd like to apologize to Mr. Itodo, Peterside, CEO, and appreciate you and apologize for this little delay. His Excellency needs to leave in a few minutes. So we're just going to go on with a brief fireside chat for 5 minutes with His Excellency, and then come back to receive the keynote, the second keynote address coming from Mr. Itodo, Peterside. So we appreciate you, sir, and we apologize again for this delay. May I now invite the one and only Terry Ikumi of Channels Television to take charge and, sit by His Excellency as we have the fireside chat. Please, let's give Terry a round of applause. Thank you.
Please put your hands together once again for His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Fayemi. I think it's safe to say that he's one person that easily identifies with young people. Your Excellency, we will not take your time. When you were speaking, you talked about your strides You compared that with Hamzat. You talked about the challenges you went through as well. And when I get the opportunity, I like to ask leaders, political leaders like yourself, this question. This hall is filled with a lot of young people. So let me ask you this. As a leader, do you understand the current challenges that young people face every day of their lives?
Thank you, Terry. I would like to think I do. I stay connected. I have a lot of young people around me, and I get a sense of the conversations that regularly go on in their own community and the frustrations that they're experiencing about slow-paced development, about human rights violations, about unmet expectations, particularly in relation to jobs, employment creation, better opportunities, quality education, being able to avoid some of the challenges we're dealing with, ASU strike, school closure, human rights violation, NSAS. So I am not unaware of those
That's
challenges.
a lot of challenges that you've just mentioned. And I think that draws to fore the realities faced by young people. And I think another thing that's interesting is that the conversation is changing. Young people are aware now, and they're speaking out, making demands. And seated here, watching on TV and online, are the ones called the coconut head generation. So let me ask you this. Do you think that based on the conversations and the actions being taken by young people now, that young people are going about it the right way to effect a change or get involved in the politics of governance?
Oh, absolutely. I think many young people are going about it the right way. They're holding leaders to account, holding our feet to fire. They are also pushing the ideas that they believe in. We've seen examples. The Not Too Young to Run campaign that Hamzat and some of his colleagues were involved in, it was about possibilities, and they followed passionately what they believed in order to make that happen, and ultimately it happened. Doors will not be open for you. You've got to keep knocking and possibly even breaking down some of those doors. I did it, so there's no reason why younger people should not do it. And they're even in a better position now because numbers is on their side. We're talking about almost 70% of our population that fall within that category known as young people. So they can push the frontiers of action and ensure that those who are in the reins of power listen to them, if not voluntarily, forcefully.
Now, please put your hands together for the Executive Governor of Ekiti State. Just before I go, questions like this I would ask. I came across an article. This has nothing to do with young people. It's about yourself now. I came across an article that read, Governor Kayode Fayemi must run in 2023. It was quite detailed. You had your achievements, your qualifications. In fact, a line there described you as a focused person and a promise keeper. So in front of young people, I'd like to ask you this. June is almost around the corner when the Ekiti elections will be held. What's your next move? Will you run in 2023?
My current move is not over.
Or will you wait like others who want to be pushed to run or sued to run?
We're celebrating Hamzat today. We can have that discussion.
Please put your hands together for the Executive Governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please put your hands together for them. We have just listened to a very wonderful keynote address followed by a fireside chat. We have two sides today. The first is what we have done with, is the fireside chat. And the next will be a speech by Peterside. So we've heard the Fireside. We'll move on quickly to the Peterside. On this day in 1987, US President Ronald Reagan delivered his famous speech at the Berlin Wall. So while Hamzat was being born, Ronald Reagan was at the wall, facing it not to demolish it, but facing it to speak to the world. The next speaker, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, is one who's also special because at the age of 33, he had also become a chief executive officer.
Itodo, Peterside. Itodo Peterside is the president and founder of ANAP Foundation, which is a non-profit organization committed to promoting good governance. He is the founder of Stanbic IBTC Bank PLC and was its pioneer chief executive officer at the age of 33. Then IBTC from February 1989 until 2007, and then chairman from 2007 until September 2014. A director of both the Standard Bank of South Africa Limited and Standard Bank Group Limited. He is also the founder and chairman of ANAP Business Jets Limited. He had his secondary school education at the King's College, Lagos. He then proceeded to the City University, London between 1973 to 1976, where he obtained a BSc degree in economics. He also went on to obtain an MSc, also in economics, from the London School of Economics and Political Science in 1977. His executive education is wide and varied and includes the owner and president management program at the Harvard Business School from 1991 to 1993. He was conferred with an honorary degree of science by the University of Port Harcourt, Nigeria, and was also elected an honorary fellow of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers in April 2019. He was the chairman of the Committee on Corporate Governance of Public Companies in Nigeria, which crafted the first code of best practices for public companies operating in Nigeria. The code was published in October 2003. Between 2007 and 2010, and also between 2011 and 2015, he was a member of the National Economic Management Team and member of the National Council of Privatization, NCP. In his capacity as chairman of the NCP's Technical Committee, he oversaw the privatization of the Nigerian power sector, amongst other transactions. He is currently the co-chairman, alongside the finance minister, of the Steering Committee for Agenda 2050 and the new National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. He is also the chairman of ArtX Collective Limited, the ANAP Foundation COVID-19 think tank, and Endeavor High Impact Entrepreneurship Limited, a non-profit organization that provides mentorship and support to scale-up companies. Mr. Peterside also serves on the African Advisory Board of the Prince's Trust International. In the first half of 2020, he resigned from the board of directors of Cadbury Nigeria PLC, where he was the chairman, Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC, Nigeria Breweries PLC, the Heineken subsidiary, and Unilever Nigeria PLC for peace of mind. Reasons in order to enable him concentrate more of his attention on the work of ANAP Foundation.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will now go to his speech. He's joining us live. He's been from the very beginning. I want to appeal to us that one more time, let's give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear me because I'm at this end speaking, and I think there's a reaction from the audience that suggests you can hear me. So I would like to, I was asked by Hamzat to speak on a subject. If you can display the slides, the cover slide, this is being done centrally. So let's test the technology. If you're able to put up the cover slide, and then when I tell you to turn to the next slide, you keep on doing that. Is the cover slide that has the subject. At my end, I'm not seeing it. Okay, but I'll keep talking so that since we're also on live TV. The subject that I was given by Hamzat Lawal to speak upon was young Nigerians, a call to action. I repeat, young Nigerians, a call to action. So you're going to wonder, why would you ask, I'm a Nigerian, okay. Why would you ask me in my 60s to speak about young Nigerians, a call to action? Surely you should be asking young people what they need to do to call themselves to action. But I know Hamzat a little bit now. I know he has his reasons for doing that. I know why he wants me to, I think I know why he wants me to speak to young Nigerians and try and establish a call to action. Because it's really about the country, and the country belongs to the young people. So the few things I'll speak upon, and if the organizers are able to keep pace, I'm now going on to the second slide, which is the outline. I'm just going to speak a little bit about the IBTC, Stanbic IBTC story that directed by Hamzat. Well, still an organization, still an institution needs to do. And I'm speaking from my experience and from observing what young people like
Well, we do apologize for, we've been trying to connect, and as soon as we are able to rectify, we will continue with that speech. It's very important and that we take all of those messages. Please just bear with us a bit.
Recording in progress.
Than I was. You have to be better than we were in my time. So going on to I always tell people when I speak, I put out something like a disclaimer. And that is just to point out that these are my personal views as an entrepreneur, as an investment banker, as an economist. I'm not claiming to be exhaustive because I have limited time. I'm simply summarizing some of the most important observations which I think are relevant at this time. And these views are based on my experience in a broad variety of activities. Of course, including my 30 years plus as an entrepreneur and board level operator in various companies, including IBTC. And then second, including my experience as a member of the economic management team for Nigeria between 2007 and 2011, and again between 2011 and 2015. Those were years when this economy was growing, unlike now. And also my experience more recently was mentioned. I'm the co-chair of the steering committee for the private sector side, co-steering committee for the National Development Plan and Agenda 2050. This National Development Plan is for the period 2010 to 2015. And everything I say, because I'm a Democrat, I welcome dissent, disagreement, and even further engagement. I will use some data when I'm talking, if they're eventually able to put up the slides. But even if they're not, I'll talk through some of the figures. But all the data I'm going to use is from official sources. World Development Indicators, data from Central Bank, Budget Office of the Federation, NBS, and a few from major publications. So, since I'm an obedient person, and Hamzat said I should also tell a little bit about the IBTC story. It has been partly summarized, and I know what young people do nowadays. If somebody is coming to speak, they go and do a Google search. But I think the most important thing I would draw attention to, I remember recently I put out a tweet. It was on the 2nd of February this year, Why did I pick that date? Because on that day, IBTC, Public IBTC, became 33 years old. The interesting thing about that date was that was on that day, 2nd of February 2022, the bank became 33 years old. But therefore, I began the bank 33 years earlier, at the age of 33. So even if you failed maths in school, you then therefore know that my age today is 66. Because if I started the bank, in 1989 at 33, and the bank is 33 years old, it means the first 33 years of my life was before IBTC. The next 33 years up to today was post-IBTC. So half my life, whether I like it or not now, was around IBTC. And if I could have put up the slide, I would have shown you a photograph, which I put out in a tweet, of the senior management team when IBTC began in 1989. And the interesting thing that many young people observed was that it was a photograph, a formal photograph, albeit in black and white by choice, of the 6 most senior management staff in the bank in its early years. And what many, especially women, observed was that of those top 6 managers, 3 were men, including myself, and 3 were women. So I'm embarrassed when 33 years later, some men still don't believe in or still hold on to gender bias and so on, because some of us 33 years ago were in the business of picking the best people we could find to do a business. And if it turned out that half of them were women, so be it. Indeed, if it turned out that there were more women than men, so be it. Because if you had, thank you, we're catching up now. So can you please go to slide 5? If you can move to slide, yeah, that's it. So this is the photograph I was saying, the photograph where at the beginning, when I said the beginning, nobody begins a business and on the first day, you're posing for photographs. This was when we were doing like a formal annual report, 1 or 2 years after we began. There you see sitting down, myself, Angela Modari, Wale Edulu, and Demoyo, standing, Shola Debibora. 3 men, 3 women, one of them standing, Tony Daniju, the male, unfortunately has passed on. Part of Nigeria's problem. He passed on in the hands of kidnappers. They may so rest in peace. The other 5 are still alive. Can you go to the next slide now? Yes, so the IBTC story is really so simple. When you saw those 6 people there, what did we have in common? It was a shared vision. There was no confusion as to what the company was about. From now, we got together and believed we were going to try and build the #1 investment bank in Nigeria. We would sooner fail trying than not try. The qualities we emphasized were integrity. We were running a meritocracy. We were going to always pick the right people. I mention these things. Why do I mention things like meritocracy, the right people? Because in Nigeria, sadly, even 33 years later, people don't believe in merit. About the only activity, the only time when Nigerians agree that we should put out our best team is in the World Cup in soccer. That's the only time we agree that we should pick the best 11 players. Almost everything else, an argument will arise as to why you should not put out the best. Then I mentioned teamwork, very important. You can't build anything without teamwork. If you're working against yourself, the house will not stand. Then in everything you do, you need feedback mechanisms. If you're a leader, you don't get feedback, you become useless. And that's why when leaders surround themselves with sycophants, they're disconnected from the real world and they progressively make mistakes. From the beginning, as a CEO at 33, I invested in feedback mechanisms. My door was open for all the staff to walk in after 5 o'clock in the evening to come and give feedback on anything. And let me mention one thing about IBTC that will surprise some young people here, although a few of them know. The issue is not so much that I was 33, I was a bank CEO. Because with due respect, if you're a bank CEO for a bank owned by other people and other people put you there, that's a different ball game. I was 33, I was the founder of the bank, which meant that put together brought in my own money, brought in other investors. I was the largest single shareholder in the bank when we began, and I was the one, therefore, by default, composing a board, inviting people to join and all that. And the most important thing I want to say is that I was 33, but when we began IBTC, I was also the oldest person in the bank. So therefore, IBTC was built by young people. I was the oldest person, not because there was a policy against hiring people older than me. But let's just think about it. If you were a 55-year-old manager working for First Bank or Union Bank, I mentioned them because they were over 100 years old, are you going to resign from First Bank to go and join a bank started by a kid who's 33, whom you thought, my God, this guy is a child, what is he doing? They even say he's the largest single shareholder in the bank. Of course not, because all the elderly people had no confidence in IBTC. They felt this is a young, dangerous experiment that's going to fail. So the reason everybody was younger than me was because the only people who came forward to look for jobs in IBTC were those who were younger than me. So you had to choose the best among the young people because they were the only ones who came. Of course, that was at the beginning. If you fast forward 5 years and the bank became successful, then older people started applying. So if you can go on to the next slide, please. There seems to be a struggle with the slides, but okay. But these slides I will dismiss quickly, not because it's not important, because I spoke about IBTC story. Just one or two words about code, because everybody today has spoken about Hamzat, how he started at 24. So when he is 35 today, code has been going for let's say a decade, slightly over a decade. When I was 35, IBTC was 2 years old. So there's a difference. And also, let me explain why it was probably a little bit easier, the kind of business that Hamzat is doing, to start it early. Part of the reason I couldn't begin IBTC any earlier was that there was a requirement by Central Bank at the time that to be a bank CEO, you must have 10 years of working experience, 10 years of banking experience. So I started working at 22. So the only time I qualified to even dream of being in the bank was when I'd worked for 10 years at age 32. And it took about a year to apply for the banking license, put together investors, get all the funding, do everything. So that's just to explain the difference that in many other activities which are not regulated, a 24-year-old, a 22-year-old, you've seen all the stories in Silicon Valley, people begin at 19. I keep telling young people, unless there's a regulation stopping you, do not be the one to stop yourself. I waited to 33 because there was a regulation holding me back. Indeed, I can tell you for free, if they didn't have that regulation about 10 years, I would probably have started IBTC about 2-3 years earlier. So Hamzat's story is similar but different in the sense that there's no regulator saying you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Next slide, please. The follow the money story is obviously intriguing, and you've heard it, so I will not dwell on it. But I had a very important session with Hamzat. You know, sometimes you can know somebody in several ways. When you talk about quality time is when you sit down with somebody for about 3 hours or something, one-on-one, and you're talking and discussing everything that's important to both of you, important to the country, and so on. So that quality time was important. We met in Abuja. I got to know him better. Talking to him in that particular session was what made me now have the confidence to go on to what I'm going to say, which is that there are some things everybody needs to do to succeed. And I saw that Hamzat was doing those same things that I did to succeed. So now I'll mention some of them, because for the rest of you, what is more important is not really Hamzat's story, but the secret behind the story, which is where I'm going. Because it's no different from the secret behind my story. Can you go to the next slide? The one that says investing in oneself and one's business. You see, for a young person, it doesn't matter what sector you operate in, the rules are the same. You've got to invest in yourself and in your own business. You have to improve yourself all the time. So to do that, some people do it subconsciously. You must identify your strengths and weaknesses by yourself. You must know what you're good at, know what you're not good at. On that first hurdle alone, some people fail because they're in the business of deceiving themselves. They cannot look in the mirror and identify their own strengths and their own weaknesses. Let me tell you something. Even before I turned 33, I knew my weaknesses and I also knew my strengths. When I spoke to Hamzat, I got that same feeling that he thoroughly understood his strengths and his weaknesses. So he was not in the business of self-deceit. Those who are in the game of self-deceit don't go very far because they're lying to themselves. So when you continue with that, if you know your weaknesses, then what must you do? You must try to ameliorate your own weaknesses by yourself through a training, seek to improve yourself. Even when Hamza sat down with me, what do you think he was doing? He was trying to debrief me and learn from me. He was training himself by talking to other people all the time. Then when you're hiring staff in any business, people try and hire in their image, and I say foul. If you hire in your image, it's like a footballer who's a defender, only looking for defenders to join him. You won't win the game. You've got to hire staff who have strengths that compensate for some of your own weaknesses. And we were doing that in IBDC throughout. Because I knew my weaknesses, sometimes we were hiring people, they will show me somebody and say, this person is like you. I say, yeah, but it's like me. And then I'm already there. I'm looking for somebody who has some strengths which I don't have. I'm looking for somebody who can make up for some of my weaknesses. The other thing I mentioned is that you've got to pick partners if you're looking for partners in any business. Partners who have complementary skills, including strengths and or skill sets that you don't have. Because there's no human being that has all the skills in this world. From a very early age, I knew what skill sets I did not have. So the ones I had to hire from the market, because I didn't have them, and it would have taken too much time to develop them. So basically what I'm saying is that there's no room for sentimentality in business. And when I spoke to Hamza, I got the feeling also that he was running code without sentimentality. I go to the next slide talking about personal success, experience, and lessons. That's important for many young leaders because in Nigeria we have confused many things. My own experience is that as a manager, as a leader, if you tell the people to do what you are saying, Nigerians won't obey you. The only thing they obey is that they will do what you are doing. If you are doing something yourself and you tell them to do it, they will obey you. That's partly why some of our governments fail. They're violating every rule themselves, but telling the followership to go and do the correct thing. Why should they? If the governor is stealing, then the staff below to want to steal. Loyalty to the institution is very important. I've already mentioned the shared vision. Humility versus large ego. See, too many people, especially men in Nigeria, have a large ego. That large ego gets in the way of decision making. It gets in the way of success. Humility is what you need. And I saw that humility in Hamzat. I've already mentioned that you have, for an organization, you need team players. You don't need solo superstars. You don't need a footballer who's playing alone in your team. You will destroy code or any business or a BTC. The other thing I tell people is that as a leader, you don't earn respectability because you are the boss. Guess what? Your staff will only respect you when you've earned their respect. So even though I was 33 years old and everybody was younger than me, I put it to you that even the 20-year-olds, the only time that they started respecting me was when I'd earned their respect. When you say earn your respect, you've got to pay your dues, even for those below you. They have to look up to you and think, wow, when I grow up, I want to be like this man. I want to be like my boss because I like him, I like his style, I like what he's doing. You cannot decree that they should respect you by flogging them. It doesn't work that way. So trust is also earned over time. Because patience is a virtue, but trust is earned over time. In IBTC, we got to the point where having earned their respectability, having earned their trust. If I told some of our staff to go and stand on Itodo Road in Lagos at 2 a.m. and wait for me, I'll be there in 5 minutes. They would actually go there and stand because they believe me. They know that I wouldn't send them there if I was not serious and if I wouldn't turn up. All those things are free, but those are the things you need to build an institution. Of course, you also have staff turnover, mild staff turnover. 5 to 10% is okay. Because in any organization, if you don't get rid of people who are not good enough, it's like a football team. Get rid of people who are not players who are not good enough. End of the season, you sell them, you buy better players. The same applies in any business. And then the last thing I'll say on this slide is that if you recruit poorly, bringing in poor staff, then you finish the organization because you have no succession plan. Because the next generation of people you brought in are not good enough. So the next slide, I will talk about the current business environment and how to make it work for you. Look, I could have given the same presentation 30 years ago, 20 years ago. 5 months ago, it would have been the same thing. Unfortunately for Nigeria, the investment climate, we still have a poor enabling environment, so it's still there. Insecurity is with us. Poor physical and social infrastructure was with us when I began IBTC. It is with us today, over 3 decades later. But in everything you do, part of what makes you survive is because even the illiterate woman selling pepper in the market in Ibadan constantly does in her mind a cost-benefit analysis. Any move she's making, subconsciously she works out the cost, compares to the benefits, and abandons the one that is too costly with very poor benefits. That comes intuitively to some people. Some of us learned it intuitively and also in the university academy. Putting the same thing the other way around. Even illiterate businessmen constantly do a risk-return trade-off, which means that they won't do something that's very risky, that has a very slight chance of return. They will drop the idea. So I get frightened when I see some people, young or old, pursuing things and abandoning these principles, doing something that's very risky with almost no return. And so I said, why do you want to do it? So currently, investors are facing even a terrible scenario in Nigeria of a high-risk environment with low return indicators. And macroeconomic stability, because we all know the problems. And in many businesses, it's impossible for people to achieve projected returns that exceed the speed at which the exchange rate is depreciating. The next slide, I'll go to challenges of growing the business. Again, when I say a business, you can also say challenges of growing an organization like Code. Because again, the same things apply. As a business leader from that early age, I always told our staff, on the left-hand side are controllable factors. By that I mean the things which you can control. Subconsciously, people like Hamzat know the things which they can control. But what are the things you can control? Wrong strategy. You can control that by yourself. You choose the strategy. You can choose to do your homework. You can choose to be competitive or competitive. Human skills, you choose. You can create brand loyalty or you can destroy it. You choose technology. Sometimes you can leapfrog. You can fight poor teamwork, make sure you have good team play. But on the right-hand side is the one that's more dangerous. I call them uncontrollable factors. Sadly, Nigeria, this list has not changed since 1989. We still talk about, in some sectors, you have rogue regulators, hostile economic environment, fuel crisis. If you think this is Nigeria's first fuel crisis, I think everybody here knows it's a constant. Poor infrastructure, marketplace, fake products, criminality, kidnappers. So now, you cannot begin an organization like IBTC or Code and say, oh, the reason I feel is that there's a fuel crisis. They say, come on. Every other person faced a fuel crisis. So if I can give you this list of things you're going to meet that are beyond your control, you know that the game of a leader is to manage them as best you can. Let's go to the next slide. So I mentioned some common mistakes, challenges of growing the business, some common mistakes people make. That's the next slide, 13. I think I heard Governor Fayemi mention about core values. You must know what your core values are. Misguided staff are dangerous. Your staff should cooperate inside and compete with outsiders. Some staff do the other way around. They're competing with the person inside, almost like bitter rivalry, and then competing with the competitor outside. And then also, if you're not filling any organization, be it IBTC or Code, with strange bedfellows who are working against each other. I've already mentioned things about psychophancy and all that stuff, which you have to put in place and instead have proper feedback mechanisms. Now, I'm going to run through a few slides on the economy, because there's a reason for that, where the economy is today. If you can't see these numbers, don't worry too much, because this first one is showing you Nigeria's annual GDP growth. If you look at the vertical line, the black vertical line, 2015, on the left-hand side, you see how GDP was growing. In some years, it was very high, almost to the sky. It came down. For 2015, we came down to almost zero. In fact, negative. And since then, we have never really crossed 2%. So we've had a problem since then in terms of low growth that everybody's facing. Next slide, that's in Nigeria. The next slide also shows you things like net foreign direct investment. These are things that they should be moving, you want them to be going up. When they're coming down from the northwest, coming towards the southeast is a problem, then it's going negative. This is the trend over many years. And there's no sign that anything is going to change, but we'll come to that later. Because some of this is linked to how investors see the political realities in Nigeria today. Next slide. This is the same thing again. You see, an economy only grows when investments are high. Investment to GDP ratio is high. If you look at this chart, it was highest on the left in 1999, 35%. Why was it so high in 1999? Simple. We came out of military rule in 1999. There was euphoria. Everybody thought democratic dividend. Nigeria is the place to go. At last, the military are gone. Now we're going to have a democratic government. We'll have democratic dividends. There's going to be good governance. So the investment was high to GDP ratio. Then the politicians progressively began to disappoint. So that 35% in 1999 started dropping. As people invest less and less, growth too will suffer. It keeps going down. So which means that confidence was highest in 1999 and has almost been dropping endlessly since then, especially since in the last 5-6 years. It's just like plateaued at the bottom. Next slide, please. Now, some of these numbers here are worrisome. But it's the reality, and you must know the reality you are contending with. The figures in circles are the most worrisome figures. This is the full employment. People were fully employed. In 2015, 68 million Nigerians were fully employed. By the end of 2020, these official figures, only 31 million Nigerians are being fully employed. That's the figure in circle at the top right. Go to the second figures I circled, and that concerns many people here, youth unemployment. In 2015, this is official data, only 4 million youths were unemployed. By 2020, 13 million. Let's go to the next slide. So that you can see when people tell you that things are difficult. This is Nigeria's precarious financial position. All the numbers that should be going up are either staying where they are or something. The only number that is going up to the sky is debt. Borrowing more and more. That's the one that's going vertical. By next year or year after, you need a higher axis to record how much debt. Revenue is poor. Everything else is poor. Just borrowing endlessly. Next slide, please. And the next slide also shows the same thing in terms of the breakup of borrowing. Most of the borrowing, the domestic borrowing, but we have some foreign borrowing. I don't know why the slides are not moving again. We have some foreign borrowing, but the bulk of the financing, and that's the worrisome part, is really central bank borrowing. And that's partly why people get worried and say, look, are we printing money to try and make up for the lack of fiscal viability on the side of the federal government? Then I'll continue talking, even though the slides are not moving, because some things are important. So by 2021, the unemployment rate
Well, we apologize for the abrupt end of that, but I'm sure we'll still get Mr. Itodo Peterside, CON, to complete and, rightfully conclude that keynote address. But please, let's give him a round of applause for all that has been said so far. And this is to recognize our online audience. Thank you so much for joining us on the various platforms and channels, Connected Development, Follow the Money, online. And of course, all of you who are watching us right now on television, on Channels TV, and also Arise News. Thank you so much for being there. To all who can listen to us live on radio, on WeFM 106.3, and of course, Woman Radio 91.7. Thank you so much. And we also say thank you to the cable for taking this event live. Appreciate all our media partners who have joined us today. Very quickly, I would like to invite two spoken word artists to tell us a bit about the celebration we are having right now, hashtag Hamzat35. They are from Writers Mind Forum, and they have a performance. They are Joe E. Gazama and Hawa Musa Abubakar. Kindly give them a round of applause as they make their way to the stage right now.
I have 54 fragile grandchildren, reviled by hunters who are ready to the foul lead. I am Mother Africa, with black yet glowing skin that is thickened with purity and honesty, and zones that are fruitful, the desert, Sahel Savannah, the tropical forest, can never be put under arrest under my watch. I am Mother Africa, blessed with 5 children, with the western part of me as the eldest, and Nigeria the strongest.
I'm an African child, born with a silver spoon in a golden land. Even the world can't stop living without me to begin with. Highlands, lowlands, a land flowing with milk and honey. But gone were the days where my life was at the stage of complacency. And after the paradigm shift, can you give us a speech? After the paradigm shift of shackles of slavery down to Berlin Conference, my future, my identity was lost in the brink, making me to wonder and ask questions about who am I? Where am I heading to? Where am I from?
Child, your face shows all the grief your heart is hiding. It shows your torn and bleeding soul, and it strikes me like an arrow, and I just can't ignore. Child, talk to your mother.
Mother, my world is at a point of extinction, so pale without flourish. My brothers have dissipated the aura that glows within us, yet paying allegiance to those scavengers from the west who have sworn to destroy us. My heart swears to leave whenever I thought of taking in these steps, and all I'm left with is marathon of tears running down my cheek. Mother, are we not your sons and daughters? Why have you then chosen to be silent?
Silent? Silent, you say?
But that was all the response you
After
gave.
shifting the mountains and breaking the souls for you, creating a wall that protects you and giving birth to that tree that clothes your pride without asking for a price? Isn't that enough? Enough that I have to swallow my grief, digging the rock to lay you treasures, and you call my actions silence? Child, it's obvious my action speaks louder, and it travels through the minds of those who are willing to adhere.
It's not the matter of enough, though I'm yet to express a gratitude word given. Instead, nothing more than that which those scavengers define me with.
You mean greedy, corrupt, and savage? That which have claimed my hard labor, dripping, channeling all my fruits, reaching the unseen, claiming to be strong, hunting my territory, stalking my youngsters, and harvesting what I have labored for?
I've seen how needled your voice is with bitterness, and your face filled with void and unbelief, but we are muzzled. With proclamation that swept away our history, we are dazzled with shining objects luring us to our destruction. The strong but of our economy has hit rock bottom, and our freedom is at the stage of oblivion. Mother, can't you pin these parasites on you, sucking and draining you dry of our inheritance?
Inheritance we build to stand the test of time.
So what?
In me lies 28 million square kilometers of giant body.
I dust up the Peterside anytime I please. But child, you need to see the value of what you have and embrace the truth. I believe a house cannot be destroyed or lost from within.
Is that why your hands are filthy? Holding out balls, begging out for aid from those you've been enriching,
and piling out debt
that will only lead to our demise? God forbid we get brainwashed to leave our lands for a greener pasture while we are the green.
I spit on the grave of your ancestors. You're nothing more than a disgrace.
But this has been the burden that waxed me old. My heart aches like the size of the universe if there was a measure to it.
Our ideology was altered with the strike of a pen on a colored paper. That was all the wealth they had.
Describing you as nothing more than a lost cause, a dark continent, filled with savage people like myself. I can't even give back to machines, they say. I can only sell out raw for my survival.
Let me ask you, why am I referred to as the dark continent? Last time I checked, I am rich with waves of large rivers that can flush away every inch of vested interest. My gold and diamond skin shall shield you from arrows of wicked men who kept exploiting us.
My spine shivers with grief whenever the truth is turned obsolete, but nothing is hidden under the sun. For how long can they keep showing our sons and daughters that we are people? For how long can they keep saying that all we do is consume, not create, but murder? The light in you scares both the hosts and scavengers to their guts, making them to utter false words to tackle their fears. Have you ever wondered why the scramble for you never cease?
But only if we can do something different. But only if we can do something different. The future is ours, and to prosper we choose love and shy away greed and hate. Let our hearts convict us, and our minds be renewed, for we dwell in this temple of enlightenment, and to offer our labors in gold and diamonds. We can all shame the devil, for he only needs our sweat to quench his thirst.
I stare into the abyss and grab the devil by the horn and say, Devil,
you are a liar.
How can I imagine living in a place not home, where the stillness of our waters vibrate through my soul?
Though being born from the ashes we shall rise to proclaim that which was ours.
Let's make it warmer. Come on, we can do that. Wow. Thank you, Hawa. Thank you, Joe, from the Writer's Mind Forum for that spoken word performance. Really appreciate it. Very quickly, we move on to our all-female panel. And we're so honored that the panelists are here. We have one who will join us via Zoom. But this is happening because it was International Women's Day a few days ago, and the hashtag Break the Bias is all over the place. Now, Hamzi, being a true he for she, decided on this all-female panel to talk about his birthday and, of course, to celebrate International Women's Day. Our panelists are Dr. Halima Nuhu-Sanda, Bella Ann Ndubisi, Mimi Loshi, Dr. Amina Salihu, Rinsola Abiola, and it will be moderated by the iconic Chioma Agwebo. Please, let's give them a round of applause as they make their way to the stage.
Senior Special Assistant to the Minister of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from 2004 to 2007, and a coordinator, DFID and UK AIDS Coalition for Change program from 2007 to 2011. Amina is a technical advisor to numerous governments, development partners, the private sector, and civil society organizations on the African continent and globally. A serial activator, Amina designed the Nigerian National Sexual Offender Database. She has traveled and written widely, moderated, facilitated, and participated in panels and conversations on women's and girls' rights, accountability, disability rights, and the environment, including at the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. A keen volunteer and mentor, Amina served as Pioneer Dean of Faculty of the Unconventional School of Politics, Policy, and Governance. Bella Ann Ndubisi is a cultural and public diplomacy professional. She currently works as the Cultural Affairs Specialist at the Embassy of the United States of America, Abuja, Nigeria, where she is responsible for strategically directing U.S. cultural diplomacy initiatives in Nigeria and increasing the reach and impact of people-to-people exchange. She holds an MA in International Development Studies and BA in International Relations and French. Bella has strong interest in women and girls empowerment, democratic governance, and cultural heritage. She is a founding member of the Not Too Young to Run movement. Through her initiative, Girl Lead Hub and Blecker Foundation, she is building and supporting a network of responsible and responsive citizens who are committed to making positive change in the areas of leadership, education, citizenship, culture, and arts. International organizations and communities. She is an advocate of girl-child education, gender equity, an avid supporter of innovative social and health reforms with a passion for sustainable solutions, shifting investment towards the achievement of universal health coverage and reducing the widening disparity in access and health outcomes between the rich and developing countries. Specialist. She works at the intersection of politics and civil society to promote enhanced representation for marginalized groups in decision-making structures. Ms. Abiola was Special Assistant on Media to the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, retired Honorable Yakubu Dogara. She also served on the Board of Trustees of the governing All Progressives Congress from 2014 to 2018. In 2019, she contested, albeit unsuccessfully, for a seat in the House of Representatives. Rinsola, who once served on the advisory board of the World Youth Movement for Democracy, is a UN Women Intergenerational Mentee. She runs the Derinsola Abiola Foundation, a non-profit domiciled in Abeokuta, her hometown, established with the aim of carrying out social development programs. On gender equality, social justice, and youth inclusion in politics in northern Nigeria. This she has done through writing, training projects, and advocacy for women. On advocacy for women and as a pioneer member of the Not Too Young to Run movement. Her principled activism has generated debate and amplified dialogue about numerous social issues and has attracted national attention. She volunteers for the non-profit youth initiative for advocacy, growth and advancement, YAGA, and other causes. Mariam holds degrees in communications, advertising and marketing from Coventry University in England and TBS in France. In 2017, she emerged successful as one of the awardees of the SME 100 Nigeria's 25 Under 25 Award for Active Citizenry and received the Under 30 CEO Award for Politics and Governance in 2018. In 2019, she was selected as a Fellow of the Deutsche Welle Global Media Forum. For whom she regularly participates in social and political analysis and discussions. As a member of British Council's 2020 Next Generation Task Force, Mariam advised on research and solutions in addressing issues that affect young people in Nigeria. Through SGBV campaigns, she works to bring a reduction in all forms of violence against women in Nigeria. She also runs a consultancy firm to provide communication solutions and has used her platforms to support public discourse on issues that affect young people in Nigeria with organizations such as MTV Sugar and within other media spaces. Mariam is currently a communications specialist at Save the Children in Nigeria. Mariam believes in a greater future for Nigeria and that women and young people will play critical roles in building a bright future for the country. Chioma Agwebo is a communications strategist and trainer, linking solutions to advocacy, business growth and development, community mobilization and government engagement with citizens. She is Executive Director at TechHer NG, a community that demystifies technology for women and applies technology towards solving societal problems, especially as they concern women. Chioma is the convener of the State of Emergency GBV movement and serves on the boards of Oxfam International and Plan International, Nigeria.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Awesome. Can we please say happy birthday, Hamzi? No, let's actually act like we're happy it's his birthday today. Can we say happy birthday, Hamzi? I'm going to ask us to do it one more time, and I'm going to ask the ushers to check so that if you don't say it loud, you don't get any lunch. Can we say happy birthday, Hamzi? Happy birthday, Hamzi. Excellent. A big thank you to my panelists today for joining me. I have just 2 questions, and I think that these questions are important as we celebrate the man, the journey, and the transition. The first question, especially since we have a diplomat, a communications expert, a medical doctor, and a politician on the panel, what values have guided your journey till today? And we'll start with the diplomat.
Very apt. I think that's a great question to ask. And as I sit down here, first of all, happy birthday, Hamzi. And thank you for bringing us all together. I think this is a fantastic way to celebrate, and I hope that you do this every year moving forward. I think one thing for me personally, I would say, is the value of integrity. As somebody especially who works in the field that I do, I think it's very important that you are who you say to people that you are. And I think I want to thank my parents, particularly for really allowing me to internalize that value from early on. I recall my dad would always say things like, he may not be able to leave me with a lot of things, but he will leave me with a name, his good name. And that a good name is worth, more than money. If there's anything that today I can tell you that I can, be very super proud of, is the name, my father's name, and the name that my parents, have left with me, that has opened a lot of doors for me, even up to this age that I am. And the reason why I said a name is very important is because, and integrity is very important, is because at a time when social capital is even, for me, I think more significant than money capital, people would only trust what it is that they see and what it is that you've been able to portray over the years. So I think for whatever it is that you do moving forward as a young person, be sure that you build a brand and a name that does not leave people questioning the kind of person that you are. We're gathered here today because we believe that Hamza is someone of integrity. I don't think we would all be sitting here today cheering him on and celebrating with him if we don't believe in the brand that he's built over the years consistently. So that's one for me. The second I'll say is kindness. The world is it's just so many bad things happening in the world today, that I think we all need a little bit of kindness. So whatever it is you can do to extend that to the person next to you, people would always remember you for the way that you make them feel. So I think that's something that I've done over the years. I hope that people remember me that way. At least that's how I want to be remembered. And I think that for all that we do, when we treat people with respect, with kindness, they would pass on that treatment to other people. And I think it goes a long way to making our world a better place.
Thank you. Mariam.
All right. Happy birthday, Hamzi. So I think there are 2 things for me that have driven me so far, and I think will be valuable in anyone's journey. It's compassion and wisdom. So I think with compassion, looking at those girls from the 100 Naira a day school, I had tears in my eyes. And I'm so proud to be Hamzi's friend, knowing that this is the kind of thing Hamzi does for girls. And it's a driving force in what we're doing. When you're doing advocacy, there are awards, but truly it's thankless. And without the compassion that you have for people and the world, and seeing a mother with a newborn baby sweeping on the street and not thinking, how can I make that person's life better? I don't think that, anything we're doing should be more impactful than changing people's lives. And when you have that compassion, you'll be able to change lives. It will drive you, even in the smallest decisions, to do what you can to make, people's lives better. And I think that's just what Nigeria needs at the end of the day. Wisdom. Without wisdom, there's nothing you can do right. You have to know when to do things, the right time to do things, how to do them, how to introduce them. Literally, in your relationships, you have to use wisdom in your work, and it guides you. I think wisdom uplifts, wisdom highlights, and wisdom is the source of even, the impact of your work as well. So you can have compassion, you have wisdom. I think those bring things together. I think I wanted to say integrity, but Bella beat me to it, so I just skipped over it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dr. Halima.
Okay, thank you. Happy birthday, Hamzat, and thank you for giving me this platform to come and speak. I think for me, I'll say my values have been transient and actually variable. There have been some that have been at the core of my life, and then some that I have had to drop at some time, and then some I have to pick. Now, but above all these, I would say honesty is very important in my life. That value was instilled strongly by my parents because I would say that in my house, you could burn it down and say you did it if it was a mistake without having any consequences. My parents made it clear that you make mistakes, you learn from them, but that doesn't mean that you have to bear the consequences. Now, you bear consequences of things when you do them and you know they're wrong. So myself and my siblings are people that, oh, who broke this? It's me. You never ask who did this, and then you start searching, which actually even going to other houses as a child, I noticed, I remember there was a time I went to a friend's house, and I can't remember, something broke, but I can't remember exactly. But the mother was saying nobody broke something. Something that, for me, I think in my house you would know immediately. The second thing, commitment to greater good. My mom has always said that, she always says this, that wherever you're going on your road to success, make sure you do not leave the people behind you. And when you cross there, make sure you leave the door open. So what I have tried in my life to do is, because, it's not everybody that comes from a background that things come in easy for them. Now, what I have tried in my life to do is to make sure that, and I'm not trying to be biased, but, I focus a lot more on girls, less privileged, is to make sure that I form a bridge, I become the bridge that they cross to the other side. Just a little maybe story from my own end, I came back from my medical school. My mom said, I was bored. She said, okay, then do something, maybe volunteer. A month later, I got a job in Family Health International. It's an international organization at a very young age. Now, the next thing is I went to my master's. Before I came back, I had a job. This job required 5 years experience, but just sitting down with the person, Dr. Ahmed Abdul Wahab, he felt I don't need 5. Now, I don't know what I did. So what I have tried, is to make sure. So the next thing I'll say is mentorship. I was mentored. I feel that I need to do that to the young people coming in, the emerging generation. So I was given chances, but the reason is, I had people that I had access to that I could talk to without knowing anybody to get this. So I try to make myself available. And when we are talking about recruitment and job offers, I don't care what experience you have, honestly.
That's excellent.
I sit down with you and I listen to you and I hear what you have to say. I want innovative, creative-minded people, because I know that if people are talking of experience, I wouldn't have reached where I am. So,
excellent.
Thank you very
so
much.
much. All right, Rinsola.
Happy birthday, Hamza, and good afternoon, everyone. I would say the key values to me are equity, empathy, honesty, and grit. Equity, I'm very big on equity. I'm very big on fairness. It's a religious order for those of us who are Muslims, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing in Christianity and other religions. I believe in considering others, doing unto others as I would like to be done unto me. Empathy, there's no point having a career in politics as far as I'm concerned, or seeking to lead people or represent them or protect their interests if you cannot put yourself in their shoes, if you cannot, want to do things from the perspective of making things better for them. And if you don't have empathy, that's something you can't do. Honesty, I believe in being a woman of my word. If I say something, then it has to be like that. Knowing that whatever I say, I can be taken for my word, and that is a huge thing for me. I think it's something that we all have to strive towards as young people. Then when it comes to grit, I believe in hard work. I believe in putting in the work, because I'm always working on one thing or the other, aiming for one thing or the other, and I always like to know that I have put in enough work for what it is that I am trying to get. So I believe in hard work. There is no shortcut to success, especially for young people. I think it's a message that really has to resonate with young Nigerians at this point in our history. People that are doing all sorts of things, going to all sorts of lengths. We need to understand that there is a process before we get to a certain point, and hard work has no substitute. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Quite succinct there. My final question to the panel, and can I crave your indulgence to give this answer in one sentence, just so that Hamzi remembers, because I'm sure there's a lot of people telling him stuff today. So Hamzi hasn't told us what he's transitioning to. Maybe we'll ask you later. But for whatever it is you're transitioning to, maybe agriculture, maybe farming, music, academia, whatever. Ladies, can we give Hamzi one sentence of advice as he transitions? And I'll start again with Bella.
Well, Hamzi, I imagine that what you're transitioning to would involve you taking responsibility of a large number of people, being very responsible. You'd have to make decisions that would have consequences for millions of Nigerians. That's my sense of the next step, where you're going. And I think for my advice to you as you go into this next thing that you're going to do is, don't forget where you're coming from and all the positive values that have gotten you to where you are today.
All right, thank you. Mariam.
Hamzi, I don't think I can give you any advice, so I will pray for you. I am proud of you. I pray that God blesses the next step of your journey. I pray that God blesses Ummi and Amina and your beautiful children, and that, your success is without bounds.
All right, Dr. Halima.
So, Hamzat, I expect that I think just like Bella, you would be taking on more responsibilities, as His Excellency said. Know when to move from fighting against to fighting for.
All right, Vinsola. First up, Hamza, you've done really great work. You're a great person, a great friend, very reliable. These are values that you must never lose. I hope that what you're transitioning into is what I'm in presently. So if it's politics, be bold, be courageous. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Fortune favors the bold. You have everything that it takes. Whether it's politics or anything else, anything you set your heart to, Hamza, I believe that with God by your side and these wonderful women supporting you and everybody in this hall and young Nigerians, everybody all over the world backing you, you can attain whatever it is you've set your heart to.
All right. And Hamzi, I wish you clarity. You will always know where to go, left or right. You will be able to discern what's good for you, what's not good for you. But most importantly, I wish you the clarity that ensures that you keep people at the center. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to my panel.
Thank you very much. Hamza is leading a standing ovation for the women. Please put your hands together properly for them. Thank you very much. We're honored to have you. And that, of course, speaks to Hamza's mind. But let me also specially appreciate the women in the front row. I'll start from the extreme. I want to specially appreciate Chief Osasu Igbenedion. You're welcome. I also want to come to this extreme and also appreciate Nancy Lo Naji. You're welcome. Thank you. I will take two special women who have helped Code to move very fast. Your Excellencies, our First Ladies, let me especially appreciate Umi Saidu Yusuf and Amina Usman. Thank you very much. We appreciate you for the great job you're doing to make our job easy at the office. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next item is very important and is to talk about persons born in March. One of them, of course, is former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Fayemi Awolowo was born in this month. Yemi Alade was born. Yemi Oshibanjo, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Johnson Agui Ronsi, Tony Elumelu, Pete Dochie, Taribo West, Ben Okri, and Hamzat B. Lawal. To take us further, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there will be three quick events that will happen in quick succession. The first of them will be a poet performing. The second will be bringing up Hamzi to tell us a little something. And the third will be about him sitting by the fireside chat. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we've brought a young lady all the way from Maiduguri who spent a long time learning to speak English. She's a songwriter, she's a poet, she's a spoken word artist, she's also a writer, an engineer, and a mental health advocate. She's known on stage as Janan DY, but we all know her as Hassana Ibrahim Danyerwa. Please put your hands together for her as she comes up to help us prepare ground for Hamzat's coming. If you clap a little more, it will look like it's not long.
Hi, everyone. So this is for those who put in the work wholeheartedly and not blame their village people for every misfortune, wanting to be given everything on a platter of gold to just bamba and chill with the big boys. This is for those who put in the work it takes to create a difference, no matter how crazy it seems. For in the beginning, nothing makes sense. It's our responsibility to make it make sense. So this is for us. This is for us, growing through the pain, fixing all the chaos, learning to heal and breathe in and out and in and out, knowing everything that we need, we already have. Everything that we have is all that we need. Anything we desire, we will receive because our reality is created by us. So today, breathe in and out and know that you are great. Listen to your heart, how uniquely it beats, and that's your superpower. Come tomorrow, we try again. With our sweat and bones, whatever it takes. We try again and again till we get the result. For great isn't born. Great is reborn. And this is for the man we celebrate here today, the white elephant, strong enough to question the highest authority, selfless enough to seek justice for the Bagara community, brave enough to initiate the follow the money society, strategic enough to keep pushing, to keep going, even when it gets hard, especially when it gets hard. For he is the man that asks why, when, and how in order to give meaning to things around, one who believes in providing solutions to the hardships of his nations, the crimes committed, and mouth silence with bribes and threats. For we are the people who go through the boomerang, not out of Instagram, the boomerang of life, to fall and stand, to lose and win, to laugh and cry, to love and grieve, to never give up. So this is for the brave hearts that make sacrifices, the game changers, those who didn't just tap on their phones and shout, God went to every success story they see. This is for those who become the success story. This is for those who become the success story. And ladies and gentlemen, this is for the man that became the success story, the Hamzat Lawal.
Is it on? On. Is it? Now the term white.
Oh, it's on.
Okay. Useless possession that is more trouble than it is worth. Hamzi has decided to change that narrative.
Hello, everyone.
Elephant culturally represents man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. 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 Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Please. Thank you. First, let me acknowledge my beautiful wives, Saidu Yusuf and Amina Usman. And of course, my kids that are watching right now on national television, Adil, Akil, Anwar, and Arib. Today, I stand in honor of Ewa Eleri. Ewa Eleri is the man who made me, proudly. He's from Afikpo, Ebonyi State. Before I met Ewa, first, I was a school teacher for 3 weeks and earned 3,500 naira. Second, I was a cyber cafe boy who was paid 10,000 naira. Third, I was a technical guy who fixed computer and was paid 15,000 naira. And then Ewa saw something in me that I didn't even know I had. And the word he said that day was, Hamzat, come and work with me. Before that time, all my employers always say, come and work for me. But Ewa said, come. Okay. Oh, the sound is bad. So before that time, every employer would say, come and work for me. But Ewa that day said to me, come and work with me. And for me, that showed dignity. That showed equality and intergenerational dialogue. Ewa took me through the civil society space. First, at that time, I was his IT guy. My role was to fix all the IT infrastructure at ICID. And after 6 months, I was done with my work. I was really good at that time with technical skills. And because I had money, I had good income, and Ewa figured I was going to resign if he don't ensure that I pick an interest in the civic space. Ewa called me into his office and gave me 2 websites. He gave me the ICID website and the UN website. And he told me that day, go and study about the work that we do here and what the UN is all about. And I took my time to understand what ICID does and what the UN was all about. All the convention, all the treaties. I took my time to understand them. And I picked an interest, joining Google groups, Yahoo groups, and various other groups. Learning from what young people were doing from across the world. And at some point, it dawned on me that these are people even much more younger than myself. At that time, I was just 19 years.
The United Nations wanted 2 young people from every country from around the world to represent their country as young people at the regional office in Nairobi. I applied and EWA gave me a recommendation. And I was selected. I got an email from the UN saying, congratulations, you've been selected to represent Nigeria. So they picked me as the male and picked another lady. In Kenya, they paired us in a room. I was paired with a young man from Togo who does not understand English, and I from Nigeria who does not understand French. In that room, we could not converse, and then we became people who exchange communications with sign language. But today, we're best of friends using Google Translator to keep in touch. For me, that meeting taught me that the world does not revolve around each and every one of us in our local community. The world is bigger than where we find ourselves. Yes, we can become local champions, but that local action it should translate into global actions. Again, today I stand here in honor of Ewa Ileri, who invested in me and ensured that I am the man I am today. And for me, transition, and by the way, I have transitioned. School teacher, cyber cafe guy, technical guy, civil society guy, and now leading civil society campaigns across Africa. I have so far transitioned. And what transition means to me as I turn 35 is that I'm no longer a youth. And please, do not address me a youth after today. I think it's important I stress this. The reality in Nigeria is 50-year-old people, 60-year-old people are still called a youth. But when you look at the African Youth Charter, it says from 18 to 35. Today I turn 35. Don't call me a youth. Yes, I'm still a young person, but don't give me an identity that is not mine. And I think as young people, we must understand and embrace our identity. I am transitioning and investing my time to building the next generation of leaders. Imagine young leaders. With the US State Department, I've traveled around the world. I built capacity and trained young people from Southeast Asia, from America, to Europe, to Canada, with my skills and knowledge, hands-on. So today, I'm launching a mentorship initiative in honor of Ewa Ileri. And it will be called the Ewa Ileri Leadership School. Every year, I would carefully select 20 young people who would travel to Afikpo in Ebonyi State from across Nigeria to go and learn from Ewa, because right now he's also transitioning and retiring in his homeland in Afikpo. I have spent time in Afikpo. I've visited a couple of times. He has hosted me in his residence. And the knowledge and wisdom he transferred into me, I want to create that opportunity to other young people. It will be a disservice if I don't talk about politics. 2023 is just around the corner. I'm not sure if we're early or if it's late already. Nigeria is where it is today because the youth has allowed it. For far long, we have been agonizing. We have been complaining on Twitter, Facebook, name it. But I believe that there's a renewed opportunity here. There's a renewed hope here for young people and the youth to take their place in Nigeria's political history. 2 days ago in Kano, Moses Siloko and myself launched a movement, a political movement called the Green Nigerian Movement. And the Green Nigerian Movement seeks to mobilize the youth and young people, women, people with disability from all the 774 local governments. And if you know me, I do not do things that other people have done before. I like to set a pace, build alliances, and work with like minds. And that's why I'm proud of the work we did with the Not Too Young to Run movement under the leadership of Samson Itodo. Today, we must agree that we will play politics. But we'll play politics with empathy. We'll play politics with ideology. We'll play politics with value. I think that saying that politics is dirty should be an old order. If we choose to remain on the sideline, then we should not complain. I, Hamzat Lawal, from today would play partisan politics. With the Green Nigerian movement, we have committed that we will mobilize 40 million votes. Yes, that is a lot of work. There is no democratically elected president in Nigeria that have gotten 40 million votes. But then again, we cannot make change if we don't change the dynamics of how things are done. I cannot do it alone. The Green Nigerian movement cannot do it alone. We need each and every one of you in this room. We need you who has joined us today on Zoom, or those who are listening or watching us via channels Arise, WeFM, that we would not agonize. Rather, we will consolidate, we will organize, we will mobilize. But most importantly, we will educate the people at the grassroots to understand the powers that they hold. Each and every one of us in this room, as we mobilize and organize and educate, we can decide who becomes the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Are you with me? Are you with me? I think it's also important to recognize the We Together movement. I've met with the leadership of the movement. I've listened to them. Like I tell you, I would meet people. I would listen to people. I have power that I've built. I have influence. I have credibility. I have friends from around the world. And you just want me to use this to just do civil society alone? No. Nigeria cannot go down on her knees when we have people like you and I. I'm doing this also to ensure equity and justice. These initiatives must not decide the fate of women. No, it is not in our place to decide what women should be or become. This initiative must ensure equity and justice. And that is what I stand for. And that is what I would take into this conversation. I would meet with presidential hopeful. I would meet with senatorial hopeful, gubernatorial hopeful. I would meet with everyone. From all the political divide, I would listen to them. I would ask questions. But I will not meet with them alone. I would go with each and every one of you. Yes, we all can't be in the room, but we should be able to trust ourselves that when we speak in those rooms, we would represent our collective interest. Moses and I decided that whatever decision we would make and whichever presidential candidate that we would endorse and support and mobilize 50 million votes, it would be a collective decision between all the members, irrespective of where they are or where they find themselves. And I believe if we can do this in 2023, hopefully, as we continue to evolve, in 2027, we might have probably a 35-year-old woman or man that would emerge as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I believe it is possible. As I wind down, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking out time to come out on a Saturday, because we all know that Saturdays are days we spend with our families and our loved ones, or just chill at the cinema or the garden. So I want to thank you for coming out. But again, now is not the time to complain and agonize. Now is the time to take charge of your destiny and the destiny of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'd like to invite Terry. Terry is a fine young man with a golden voice. He has once hosted me on hard copy on Channels Television. That day, he tried to bottle me in a corner, but for those of you who know me, I try to find my way around my media friends. and jump the question. I hope today he would not bottle me in any corner, but would have a frank conversation for 5 minutes. Terry, please.
Well, thank you very much, Hamzat. This is an opportunity. I'm very grateful for it. I must start by saying that you and other CSOs make activism, mobilizing, and campaigning look so easy. I see Samson Itodo here, and when I have these conversations with you all, I begin to question how easy it is to push in a country like Nigeria. There are peculiarities with Nigeria. So let me first start by asking you this question. How easy or otherwise has it been for you doing what you do in a country like Nigeria?
If change was easy, then everyone would make change. And no one said it was going to be easy. But because of our commitment, our tenacity, our collective vision and hope, and our belief on where Nigeria should be, and that's something that have kept each and every one of us going. A lot of people would easily forget and think that the Not Too Young to Run movement, for instance, we got the age reduction bill within a short time frame. No, it took over a decade. Samson and his colleague, the first time they approached the National Assembly, they were laughed upon and asked them to go and sit down. But they did not just go and sit down. They crossed all through the Niger, build an alliance, identify people, and work together with them. So for us in the civic space, this is something that we have continued to do, to support each other and continue to ensure that our collective vision are tied to a better Nigeria.
Very well then. So I listened to you, and I'm sure everyone else here did, talk about the need for young people to get involved in the conversation. And I'd like to ask you this question. As you listen to young people and follow the conversations, what are we doing right ahead of 2023? Because the number of politicians I've spoken to agree that 2023 will be different. So what are young people doing right or wrong towards 2023?
For 2023, I think young people are now awoken, because there's a lot of political movements that are being formed. There's a lot of alliances, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of permutation, there's a lot of conversations centered around ideals that are going on. And I think it's inspiring that young people have now understood that they need to take a position, they need to decide their own fate, but most importantly, the fate of a great country like Nigeria. So one thing they're not doing so well is, for us to truly make this change, we must leave our comfort. When Moses Siasia and I embarked on the journey to Kano State, Kano today is really hot. Kano has a massive population and a huge potential. And Kano plays a very important political history, not only in northern Nigeria, but Nigeria collectively. And that's why you see a lot of movements and political candidates who start their campaign from Kano. So we identify that potential. But then we were stuck, even in Kano, while mobilizing and organizing. Our flights were being cancelled. We had to journey through very difficult terrain to come back to Abuja. And in the room, when this entire crisis was happening, we're all smiling through it because of our conviction of what is truly possible, and that we would not complain or agonize, but rather we would organize and mobilize and educate to truly take Nigeria where it should be.
So there's a push now for young people to not only participate at the polls, but get involved in the politics itself. And I was having this conversation with my colleagues on the need for young people to get some political mentorship. You know, it's easy to get leadership mentorship. I think that's all there is to it. But the need to get political mentorship to teach you how to get into the politics of the politics before you can actually utilize that leadership mentorship is very important. Can you buttress more on how important it is for young people to not focus on leadership alone, but think about how to actually play the politics to effect a change?
I think for the youth and young people, it's important to identify people that inspire you. And you also need to be careful about what are those things they stand for, what are their values, and how does this inspire you. So for instance, I'm inspired by Amina Mohammed. Yes, I held her to account, and I gave her a difficult time while she was a minister. But because of that, she respects me today so much. Malam Nuhu Ribadu is my mentor. And he has invested his time over and over again to ensure that he guides me on my anti-corruption journey. I cannot overemphasize the importance of political mentorship. But as young people, before you even have access to political mentorship, are you part of a political party? What informed your decision to join those political parties? What role are you playing in those political parties? Are you part of the meetings happening at the various wards, the local governments, the state, and then the national? Are you also ensuring that you inform who becomes your ward leaders, your local government leaders, your state party leaders? Because those are the people who would inform delegates if our political parties decide to go with indirect primaries. So again, for you to even pass through the door, open it first by getting involved and being a card-carrying member of a political party. But this should be driven by personal conviction and the collective vision of where Nigeria needs to be.
Just before we go, you can clap for Hamzat. Just before we go, Hamzat, you've put together this elaborate and colorful symposium. All thanks to you. At 35, you've done so much. And let me apologize for trying to put you in a tight corner when you came on the show that time. I may have to do that again. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question. I've also attended an event where you sort of hinted in that direction, and I think you did something like that today. Hamza, what's your political interest? What's next for you? Are you interested in politics? What would you like to run for?
Yes, I am interested in politics. What is my interest? To serve. To continue to serve people. Serving people got me where I am today. People are the ones that truly have power. I'm not where I am because I am just Hamza. No, it is because I have built people. I've invested in people. And I've understood that power is created by collective interest of people and then shared to ensure justice and equity. Am I running for office? Time will tell.
Are you interested in running for office?
I'm interested in serving my country as a nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Hamzat Lawal. And thank you so much once again for putting this together. I wish you well.
I believe he deserves a standing ovation for that, doesn't he? Come on, let's do this. Let's give him a round of applause. Amazing. Please be seated. Thank you, Hamzat. Thank you, Terry, for such a great time. Amazing stuff about the man, the journey, and the transition. Very, very quickly, we move on to a message from Hamzi's mentees. And there are a number of them we're going to listen to right about now. I'd like to invite Muazu Abubakar Sadiq to come for a 1-minute tribute to Hamzi. And right after him, we'll have Wilson Atumei, and then Adekunle Adepoju, Sani Mohammed, and Semiye Michael. May we invite Muazu Abubakar Sadiq, please.
This story should be
Thank you.
2012, I guess, or 2011. Hamzi just told me that in 2010,
Bonjour, Monsieur Hamzi.
Bonjour, Mademoiselle Ziri.
Ziri.
Oh. I think this story should be in 2012, I guess, or 2011. Hamzi just told me that, you know what, I think I'm going to quit ICED and focus on follow the money. You know, I was taken aback a little bit. You know, I think it takes someone that is super courageous to say that I am going to quit my current job and focus on follow the money, and he actually did that.
Hamzi is driving the right-hand wheel. Hamzi, how do you feel?
I feel like I'm missing traffic. I am Hamzat Lawal, an activist from Nigeria. I work for Connected Development, and Connected Development tries to empower marginalized communities with access to information.
Sometimes you need to know the truth before you expose the lies.
leveraging on the social media platform, engaging policymakers and our government, and most importantly, our mass number of young people who've been able to tell and teach the people how to hold government accountable.
Happy birthday, Hamzi. Thank you for being a source of inspiration to all of us all. You're fantastic and amazing boss. Thank you for your selflessness. We love you and
the hard work, what you see now, it's well deserved because he did his own work. He read, he worked, he went to those communities, he did everything and he did them excellently. So that's what I would say about his work ethic.
Oh, Papa, happy birthday! Happy 35th birthday. We wish you long life and prosperity. Thank you for doing amazing. Nigeria is proud of you. Africa is proud of you. The continent is proud of you. We wish that this birthday brings you lots of joy, happiness, and peace. Happy birthday, Papa! We love you, Papa, Papa!
My special one. You see, there's so many things I appreciate about you. Your kindness, your love, your compassion, your commitment, your calmness and integrity, your sense of humor.
My love,
Happy birthday. You're a visionary leader, you're an inspiration, you're kind and selfless. And on this occasion of your birthday, I wish you nothing but long life, happiness, joy, and all the good things life has to offer.
Hamzat, thank you for being amazing. Thank you for being fantastic. Happy birthday, Hamzat.
Thank you for being a source of inspiration to all of us at Goodwill. Fantastic and amazing boss. I wish you the very best. Thank you for your selfless service and we love you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to a nationalist, a peace center, a visionary leader.
Hi, happy birthday, Hamzi. Wish you the very best in life. Over a decade I've known you, I've seen a man transition into a force everyone wants to reckon with. I wish you the best in this life and hereafter. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Hamzi. I wish you all the best. I'm excited to have met the man, seen your journey, and I hope to be part of your transition. We love you, we love what you've done for Code, and we love what you've done at Code. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Hamzi. Thank you for being kind, thank you for being amazing, thank you for being a role model, thank you for being a mentor, thank you for just being you. Happy birthday, may you live long and enjoy life to the fullest.
Happy birthday, Hamzi. It's such an amazing pleasure getting to know you. You are an amazing human. Thank you for all you do. Your impact would surely outlive you. Thank you, Hamzi. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Hamzi. Thank you for all that you do for us. Everyone at Coders appreciates all that you do.
Happy birthday.
I want to wish you a happy birthday. We're proud of you. We're glad you have become the man you are. And want to say we stand with you in your achievements in life. And we look forward to celebrating more of your achievements together. I'm proud of you, my brother.
I'm congratulating Hamzi at 35.
Happy birthday, Hamzi, my gist partner, my partner in crime, growing up. Thank you for being a big brother. You are such an amazing person. We love you. We appreciate you. We're proud of you and wish you many more happy returns in good health, wealth, and prosperity.
Happy birthday, Wanda, son Iman Diva Akari. We love you.
And everyone feels right. Happy birthday today. We sing happy birthday to you. And may all your dreams come true. Happy birthday.
Yes, indeed. We love you, Hamzi. Happy birthday once again. All right, so we'll get to hear from Hamzi's mentees right now, and we invite Muazu Abubakar Sadiq to take the lead in this tribute to the man, Hamzat. B. Lawal. Please let's give a round of applause for Muazu Abubakar Sadiq as he makes his way to the stage. Muazu.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me this platform for me to speak. I feel highly honored to be here on this platform to celebrate one of the person that I can say found me when nobody believed in what I can do and what I can deliver. Hamzi is someone that have found me in the ravaged area of the northeastern Nigeria, where Boko Haram insurgency has affected quite a number of population. In the course of my life, around 2016, Hamzi funded me to be one of the volunteers to track spending of government in northeastern Nigeria, particularly in Borno. And Hamzi believed in what I can do to have given me a platform to serve as a project officer in that organization. Not too long or not quite a number of journey, he gave me the opportunity to serve as the state team lead of the organization in Borno. As I'm working in Borno State, I have the opportunity to build on the existing relationship and the mentorship that Hamzi have provided me to enable me create and register an organization what today we are leading, the Center for Advocacy, leading quite a number of young people, implemented quite a number of humanitarian activities and developmental activities across the Bay State. We are proud to say that as a result of what Hamzi have done to us, have done to me, I'm leading quite a number of young people, amazing young people, up to 50 that are working under us, under various numbers of projects that we are implementing. We are so proud to be associated with you. We are so proud to be associated with all people that have contributed to our growth in connected development, and as well as your family, to have given you the opportunity to thrive when the need arises. So we say a big thank you, and to all those people that have come to this platform to celebrate with Hamzi, we are quite grateful to this honor that you have provided to Hamzi. Thank you so much. I feel highly honored to stand in front of you. We have quite a number of people to speak, and I cannot go in details to speak about what Hamzi have done or what Hamzi is doing, but we are quite proud to be associated with you, and we wish you long life, prosperity, and a very good journey as you transit to the next phase of life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Muazu. Wilson Atumei is next. Wilson.
Hello all. My name is Wilson Atumei, and I'm the founder and chief executive director of Water with Development Initiative. But before then, I was a graphic designer. And that is what Hamzi hired me to be first at Connected Development. He first of all believed in what I can do. For me, I joined the team as a core member, and he said, Wilson, I believe you can do better than just designing graphics for us. And in less than 6 months, he made me the communications assistant for Connected Development. In the next 2 months, he made me the communications officer of Connected Development. Then after 2 years, working with Connected Development, he said, Wilson, it's time for you to transit to another level, because I believe Connected Development might be limiting your potential here. And I moved to another organization where I spent just less than 6 months, and having worked with Hamzi closely, he talked me into doing something bigger for myself. And in 2019, I founded Water with Development Initiative, an organization that tracks government spendings and international aid for water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities in marginalized communities. In 2020, I was named the top 20 activist in Nigeria. In that same 2020, I was mentioned as among the 100 young Nigerians doing great for development. In 2020, I won Advocate of the Year in the African Youth Award. In 2021, I won the Activist of the Year in the Activism Risings Award. And in 2021, I won the Future Awards for Advocacy and Activism. This is only possible because I have a mentor like Hamzat Lawal. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Wilson, for sharing. Adekunle Adepoju is next. He's a Bay Good Fellow, and he'll be sharing his tribute to Hamzat B. Lawal. Please, let's give him a round of applause.
Good day, distinguished guests. I'm Ade, a fellow of the Bay Good Global Citizens Fellowship Program, class of 2021. It's an honor to be on this stage on behalf of the Bay Good Fellows to express our eulogies of Hamzi on his positive impact of young Africans like myself. As a backstory, the Bay Good Global Citizens Fellowship Program was established in the year 2018 to empower young Africans to become change agents. The appointment of in-market experts across key pillars including leadership, citizenship, international development, and advocacy was among the new additions to our program this year, with the appointment of Hamzat Lawal as the Nigerian council member under the citizenship pillar. As a member of the board of advisory, he has represented a replica of the young leader to we the fellows, and we are grateful for all that we have learned from you so far, with all the manners of numerous activities and engagements that you have done with all of your engagements. We are proud of you, and we are excited to mention that we are currently executing a project that is targeted at about 250 adolescent girls, which is all about providing solutions that will help them manage the rapid changes that they experience in their bodies in a more dignified and hygienic way. We are grateful for all the things we've learned from you. We acknowledge the time, the counsel, and the knowledge that you have always shared with us. And as a token of our appreciation, we would like to present to you this small token, a humble prize to you for being our father, a mentor, and a friend.
A father at 35, that's amazing. Hamzi, I'm sure you would come up to receive this, please. Okay, so we need to turn it around.
Once again, on behalf of the Fellowship Class 2021, we would like to present this portrait of you and the white elephant.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I know my children, so I'm not your father. but thank you for this, and I deeply appreciate. But I'm also thinking, where will I hang it? You know? But thank you. I'm really excited when Beyonce reached out to me to join the board and mentor 20 of you, some from South Africa and here in Nigeria. I was really excited to share my story, my ideals, and to also listen to each and every one of you. And just to say I'm really proud with what you're doing with the fellowship and the opportunities you're creating. And I'm committed to building and investing my time, my limited resources and efforts, of course with the support of Ummi and Amina, to do more good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Adekunle Adepoju. Appreciate it. And thank you for that gift for Hamzi. Sani Mohammed is up next. Sani, please come up for your tribute. Thank you so much.
Hamzi. Happy birthday, Hamzi. Hamzi is more like a mentor, a big brother. I met Hamzi, fortunately, when Mariam Laushi invited me to Abuja for an event, and he sparked this fire in me. I was very angry, and I really wanted to do something about some of the things I was seeing around me. And I can gladly tell you that Hamzi has handheld me, personally mentored me, both in my personal life and professional life. And today, I'm working across many states in Nigeria with Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. And we are inspiring a new generation of young women and young men who want a world where everybody, irrespective of their gender identity, can live better lives with equal opportunities for everyone. And I'm saying this because what Hamzat did to me has impacted over 30,000 girls across all these states we're working in. And Samson Itodo said something in the morning that how many Hamzis do we have in this room? And I'm proud to call myself one of those Hamzis. And I'm proud to say Hamzat has also inspired me to go into public service. And I went into the Kashim Ibrahim Fellowship as a special assistant to the governor of Kaduna State. And I believe strongly one of the things Hamzat have taught me, when he was one of our mentoring sessions, he said, what price are you willing to pay to make this country great? And on my journey, I have advocating for women and girls and trying to get justice for rape victims or domestic abuse or end child marriages. I have been beaten, have been insulted. People have made campaigns against me and my organization. But in that light, I knew what sacrifice was I willing to make for a young girl to sleep and have opportunity to complete her education. And I understood very well that the building of a country takes the intentional and deliberate action of leaders to mentor people. Because our lives is in the future. Our lives are not in the past. And I know we are not proud of the people we read on the newspapers every day about what is happening in this country. So as Hamzat mentored me, I will tell every one of us today to go into public service, to find a life of purpose, a life of service, a life of vision, and to give yourself to a cause that can make this country greater tomorrow. Thank you very much, Hamzat.
Thank you so much, Sani Mohammed. We appreciate you for the kind words. Well, Samia Michael caps this session of mentees. The messages from our mentees. Please let's give Samia Michael a round of applause.
Thank you. I brought my water because I saw Peter Itodo was drinking water. And it just tells me that if you want to be rich, you should be drinking water. The easiest, perhaps, way to go and maybe find your route to succeed is if you are lucky to find someone who has gone through the road for any reason, just decided to get interested in you to help you go through the road so that the road won't become as difficult as it was for him. That's what Hamzat did for quite a lot of us. To be a mentor, you don't have to be the oldest. I am 42, Hamzat is 35. And I do not have any regrets to say you are my mentor. Because when some of us decided to come to the development space, with all the experience we have had from the work we were doing, we knew almost nothing. And you provided us that platform, and you be the help that was there to be. I think the next thing for me to do now is to find another beautiful woman and join to myself so that I could just become like you finally.